Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Wednesday night hobby hangout. How is everybody? Hope you've had a nice couple of days since Monday. Hope the weather's been kind to you. It's been rather nice here. In fact, it's it's hotter than hell. It's really warm. So yeah, I've got the window open. I'm trying to get some airflow in here, but yeah, studio lights all over and stuff. No doubt you'll see my face go cherry red as the night goes on, but that's a good excuse to have a nice cold beer instead. So let's see who we got in the chat. Lord Maiden was in nice and early. It says, hi Andy, I hope the stream goes well. Unfortunately, I have to watch the catch-up as having a game of War Machine at my local club. Trying out the new guidelines. Well, enjoy your game of War Machine, mate. You'll have played it by the time you see this, and I hope it went well. And thanks for popping in, mate. Super Pumpkin Man says, yeah, bring on the 80s. Yes. For those that don't know, we are painting up some bot war tonight, and I'll show you some of the stuff I've been sent by the company, Traders Galaxy. I've been sent a 2-player starter set to do a review on, so I thought I'd paint them up and kind of show them off to the best when I come and do the review. So we'll have a little chat about the game tonight, and then we'll be painting the minis as well. Peter Nicholas, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Blizzards was in nice and early as well. Jamie Newton, good evening to you, Jamie. Mark Wright, David Mackay, Scott Longworth, hello to you, folks. Scott's sitting building up some Death Watch. You're cracking through them 40k stuff at the minute. Peter Cooman, good evening to you as well. David Moffat, hello, mate. He says, good afternoon, BlackJack Arenos. Good afternoon to you, sir. Let's scroll down a little bit. Dirk was in as well. Good evening, Dirk. How are you doing, mate? Tony Howell says, cooey. Tony's building a rather funky kind of like arch light for his painting desk this evening. So I look forward to seeing those pictures, mate. I just read what you wrote there. I look forward to seeing those. Peter says, hi, all my daylight bulb lamp is like a death ray tonight. I feel your pain, mate. Times that by about 5, and you get the idea where I am. Good evening, Nostock as well says, how do lads and lasses? How are you doing, Nostock? Nice to see you, mate. Arnold's in as well, says, good evening, folks. Good evening, Arnold. Good evening to Yoakum as well. Good evening, mate. How are you doing? Your brother's terrain that he was building out of kind of wooden sticks and stuff looked pretty fantastic, mate. If you can pass that on, please. It was rather awesome. John Estel says, evening all. He's using contrast paints. He's getting to like them. I like them as well, mate. I think they're pretty good as like a base colour, to be fair, because they're so well pigmented. Sometimes they're a great base to kind of work up from. I think folks just think they're kind of a one and done product, and they can be, but there's more to them than that. Jacob says, howdy all, Storms here. Models look like Transformers. They do look a bit like Transformers, and I'll kind of touch on that in a little bit, because yeah, it's hard not to kind of to draw parallels between the two. So I'll touch on that at some point. Peter Stockdale, good evening, Peter. How are you doing, mate? Peter says, bloody hot here, Andy. It's 37 degrees. I haven't even looked to see what it is, mate. Palmsy's in as well. Good evening, Palmsy. Arnold says, love and contrast paints big time. It makes me looking like a freaking Rembrandt. Rob Zonk's in as well. He says, just thought he'd stop in and say hi and might catch some later. See you later, mate. Thordlum says, so where are we at? It's too early, mate, to see where we're at. It's not until the chat gets out of control and I can't keep up. That's when I get to that point. Margot, good evening to you, Margot. How are you doing, sir? David says, how was the assembly on yours? The first Bot Wars commission I painted had the bots falling apart as my brush hit them. These are the new resin ones, mate. I don't know whether you had the metal ones or not. The resin ones went together absolutely perfect, mate. They were really, really good fit. I mean, obviously, I'll show you them as we go. If they drop apart as we paint, we'll soon know. But they've kind of held up to being handled, getting primed, getting stuck to bases and stuff. So yeah, I haven't had any issues with them. What I will say is that being resin, the molds of them, the sculpts are really, really crisp. More crisp, I think, than you'd get kind of with metal, because they're much more angular. Obviously, they're kind of like blocky robots, much more square looking. Tony, good evening, Tony. How are you doing? He says, I was going to glue the rest of these Wild West Exodus minis, but still moving stuff around and can't be asked, so you have my full attention. Well, that's good, mate. I will be talking directly to you this evening, mate. It's just me and you, and everybody else is kind of joining in the conversation. David said, I thought maybe the guy just wasn't very good at assembly, but I bought some and they were a pain to assemble, and these were all the old, not IP stuff. Yeah, the game is onto its 2nd edition now. There's been a few changes, and I'll kind of chat about that as we go tonight, so we've got something to talk about as well. But these went together fantastic, mate. Christopher Hill, Loved the terrain review. Hello, Christopher. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate you watching that. Yeah, I loved making it as well, mate, to be fair. Scott says he's got all the contrast paints now. Yeah, me too, mate. I have now as well, thanks to a certain Mr. Howell. And Peter's saying, I think due to the release agent they use on the moulds for metal minis. Yeah, and I think it tends to be the same with some resin stuff as well. They get a little bit... you really do need to clean them up. Since I bought my ultrasonic cleaner, I've been making a kind of special effort to kind of clean stuff up properly. Scott says Sunderland smashed the scum 3 times yesterday. It's a beauty. That might be the last time we ever see that happen, mate. David Tinney cleaned his. Standard Tabletop, good evening, Luke. How are you doing? I watched a bit of your stream back today, mate. I assume that you were as hot last night as I am tonight, mate. So, yes, let's crack on. And what we've got is we are painting miniatures from this game this evening, which is Bot War, the rulebook for 2nd edition, from a company called Traders Galaxy. And it's a relatively straightforward game. I'm not going to go into the rules too much at the minute because obviously I'm going to be doing a full review of this at some point soon once I get everything painted up. But if you just like fun, kind of not too complicated, simple to play games, you will love this. And it's obviously steeped in 80s nostalgia as well. So let's have a look at some of the minis. The game comes with these cards as well. So we've got these cards to look upon, and yes, there was obviously a lot of reference to Transformers, and people saying, "Oh, they look like Transformers." They do look like Transformers a little bit, as they are kind of robots, which kind of or look like they transform from other things. As you can see, their top star has kind of like wheels and stuff on the side, and there's a partial reason for that. So originally, when this game was being developed, it was developed to be a Transformers game. When the gentleman who's created this game obviously got in touch with Hasbro about getting the licensing deal wasn't particularly good, and around the same time they also signed up with WizKids for them to do a Transformers game, so he didn't get the license. So what he did was he went back to the drawing board, took out all of the Transformers references, and started to work on his own kind of designs and IP and stuff like that. So whilst they may look or may have a nod to Transformers, it's definitely not Transformers. And actually, he was showing me some future pictures today and stuff as well. And if I've got time later on, I'll fanny on with them and get them up on the screen. But there's kind of like there's dinosaurs and all sorts of stuff coming into this game. Obviously, there's cars and helicopters and all sorts of things. But these are the bots. These are the things that you'll be wanting to fight with. So those are the cards. Now the game is 8mm scale. And you might think, oh God, that's tiny. Imagine if a human in this game is 8mm tall, then you can kind of see the size of these robots. Now this particular one is on a 50mm base, so that gives you an idea of scale of stuff. So this, if it's on a 50mm base, and what's that? I have got a tape measure, because you get a tape measure in the starter set. So let's just kind of quickly measure that one. What's that? From the base there is about 50mm, 48mm, 49mm to the... Well, if we go to the top of the gun there. But actually, to the top of his head, it's about 50mm. So that kind of tells you how big these minis are. So yeah, for all it's an 8mm scale game, these are obviously big hulking robots. So I obviously don't remember the names of them yet. But this one is General Duke. So I'm reading them from the cards here, obviously. We'll put that one down for now. We've also got Wolf here as well. I'll get a little bit closer to the camera. And these have all been zenithal primed, just ready for painting tonight, this evening. And you can see that they're really, really crisp. These are resin. Like I say, I think the old ones used to be metal. These new ones are resin. They went together really, really cleanly. There was nothing at all to clean up on them. Everything comes in these kind of little kind of Ziploc pouches. They were really well packaged. This come all the way from Australia. They are available in the UK and the US as well from suppliers. But this one came all the way from the creator himself. So it shipped all the way from Australia, and there was nothing damaged in the pack when it arrived. So that one is Wolf. We then also have, if I can find it, this one here called Aegis. Wolf there was on a 40mm base. This one is a 32mm base. You can see this one just kind of two hands holding the gun there. As we start to get some paint on them, they'll show up a little bit better on the screen. We've also got Top Star. which might be my favourite actually in this box. I quite like Top Star. You can see, I think initially I wasn't sure about them because they're kind of square, and I was thinking like, do they look a bit simple? But actually, once I actually got the miniatures, because that was kind of when I saw them online and stuff. When I actually got them, there's loads of character in them. They're really well detailed. Like you can see on the on the faces and stuff. I don't know if you can see on that. There's a lot of detail on them, and actually, and they fit the kind of the theme of that kind of 80s reference. And then there is this one here called Angel. And she, like, obviously she's got some kind of like wheels on the back of her calves there as well. No idea kind of from a, if they change into other kind of things in the game. I'm sure I'll find out more about it as I get more into the rules. But yeah, so those 5 are, I'm going to try and remember the names of them now. Actually, let me have a look in the back of the book here. The faction that they are from, if I can find them. So there's a few factions. There are Thrashers, Overlords, Atlantica. You get Atlantica in the starter box. There are Beast Lords, Democracy, Snake Corps. There are Valiants. That's the ones we've just been looking at. There are Deceivers, and there are Infestors as well. And you can see there some of the different images. But yeah, head over. Not now, obviously. Keep watching the stream right now. But head over and check out Galaxy Traders, or Traders Galaxy, I should say. And you'll see a bit more about it. But yeah, I'll be doing a review on this soon, so watch out for that. And I'm going to try and just paint them kind of similar to the card colours, so I can so I know exactly what I'm looking at when it comes to actually playing the game. So we'll dive in, and we're going to paint up General Duke first, I think. Let's have a look. Oh, Luke says it's the reason I'm not painting tonight and just in for the chat. Yeah. It says, I was going to ask if there's anything at a glance in the rules that stands out about this game. I know obviously you'll be doing a review. One thing I would say, mate, is essentially if you're familiar with something like War Machine or probably War Machine specifically, how you get like focus, which your team gets an amount of focus, and then you dish out focus amongst your different units to allow them to do sort of different amount of actions. The game works like that. So basically you get energy cubes. So each model, so you can just see here at the bottom, this one brings 3 energy cubes, this one brings 2 energy cubes, this one brings 1 energy cubes. But you could, if you want, is take the entire group's energy cube pile, put it on one model, and then that one model could be like a wrecking crew. Think of it a little bit like Infinity, where each model that you have brings an action order with it, and you can allocate those orders however you want. The difference with this is you need to allocate them before it's your turn. And the other thing here as well is, if I can remember which number it is, I think it's the SR, which I think is strategy rating. The lower the number, the kind of the sooner they activate. So if you're familiar with X-Wing, how kind of pilot skill tells you in what order you activate, this is the order you activate in the game as well. So for example, this one has a strategy rating of 10, which means he's going to activate last. I think it's a 1 to 10 scale. However, he's 25 points. He's kind of powerful. So if you pile everything up onto him and the rest of them are all getting attacked, you need to use those energy cubes to defend. So it's got some very simple mechanics, but really interesting ones and a little bit different. Let's have a look. Jacob saying pretty cool looking. Yeah, they're definitely. If you're looking for a bit of 80s nostalgia, I think they will certainly scratch that itch. That reminds me, I have very little of this blue paint left. This Macragge blue. I'm going to need some of this for my Marines, but we'll have enough for tonight. That's for sure. So get that on there. Let's get a little bit of Lamy and medium on just to thin that down a touch. Luke's going to use his new handle last night. Really happy with them, even though I kept forgetting to swap them over. It does take a little bit of just getting used to, mate, when you're so used to having that one. And I've got, because actually I'm used to using corks, sometimes if I'm only doing a little bit, it's just as easy to kind of pick them up by the base as well. So yes, but I'm glad you're liking them, mate. I'm happy with mine as well, so I think that can't be too bad, can it? Luke says bots preamble outwards. Yeah. Where are we up to? Dirk saying, looking at Subbuteo starter set, €29 for a set with 2 pre-painted starter armies is not that bad. Subbuteo has always been relatively good price, to be fair. And I'm pretty sure they all come pre-painted. There's not really any hobby in that respect with Subbuteo, is there? Which is not a bad thing when you're playing tabletop stuff all the time. Tiberius, good evening, mate. How you doing? So we tend to do a sort of PlayStation and Saturn 32-bit era video game log. Yeah, to be honest, mate, I kind of just want to get these done. So because I want to use them in the video to get the review done as soon as possible. So I'm kind of I'll be cutting a few corners. It'll be speed hammer tonight, I think, mate, to get these done. That's the plan. Keep them pretty basic. Maybe a bit of dry brushing. Maybe a little bit of edge highlighting, because there's a lot of flat surfaces. There's not really any room for kind of any natural shading. I think if you're wanting to take your time with them, they really do lean themselves to doing like a comic book kind of cell shading type look on them. But yeah, we'll be hitting them with the kind of the basic job, I think. A little bit of dry brushing, maybe a bit of edge highlighting, as I say. Luke says, I like the mechanic of spreading it out or focusing in an area. It does remind me of War Machine, as you say. Yeah, when I first read it, mate, that was exactly what kind of cropped up in my mind. The only and like I say, basically, you need to make that decision before it's your turn, really. And then you don't necessarily take alternating activations. You work your way through the kind of like the strategy ratings or pilot skill, to take an X-Wing reference. And if there's a tie, basically you dice off for it. So it's quite interesting. You know roughly when your model is going to activate by the numbers. So you might want to, for example, if you've got the model that's going to activate first, you might want to put a load of kind of energy cubes into that one to take somebody out very early in the game. Maybe there's a threat that you need to take out. So yeah, it's all potentially your big boss guy is a bit low on energy, so you need to make sure that you load him up with cubes to defend himself, and you can spend those cubes. And when you're defending yourself, you can spend those cubes to get extra dice as well. So it's quite interesting. The game does use its own dice, proprietary dice. However, they do come in the starter set. And I'll just very quickly show you there. You get a big bag of dice in there and the energy cubes. But we'll get them out later and I'll show you them. Peter says, I think they look cute because of how tiny they are for gigantic robots. I was never into Transformers, so no nostalgia to tempt them in. Yeah, it's like I say, it definitely isn't Transformers, like because obviously there's a Transformers game and stuff like that, and there's no license attached to this, but it has the nostalgia and the feel, I would say, or the look of. But no, it's cool, man. It's cool. So Anthony, the guy that designed the game, is actually in our Facebook group. He was in our Facebook group long before he kind of told me about this game, to be fair. Obviously, very didn't want to just kind of come and pimp his wares, if you like. But he contacted me about would I be interested in kind of like doing a review of it. The new second edition's out now. And I said absolutely, and he said, look, it's like it's more of a fun game. It's not like uber competitive. It's meant to be fun. Whilst it is tactical and there's tactical choices to make and strategic choices to make, it is aimed at fun, and that's kind of right up my street, to be fair. So yeah, I was looking forward to it arriving. It came a week and a half ago, I think. I had no super glue at the time, so I was waiting for some super glue to start building them up, and that's what I've been doing the last few days, getting these built up, getting them primed, along with a whole pile of other stuff that's over here, and then working my way through some more review stuff. So you'll have seen last week, the terrain review from War Cradle for the Wild West Exodus terrain. That is absolutely awesome stuff. I will certainly be adding more to my games. And then I've got a few more bits and pieces that I'm working on in the background. I've got to pull my finger out now and really ramp it up. It doesn't help when it's an absolute oven, but some of it's things like I've had to build stuff. I'm having to paint stuff, as you can see here. I'm having to play stuff to understand how the game plays. So them's all the bits that you don't really see in the background, but yeah, they're happening. I've been on the go since about 7:30 this morning, and only stopped to pick the little one up from nursery. So yeah, it's all hands to the pumps at the minute. Oh yeah. Lucas saying, yeah, just kept picking up the base and doing quick bits. Yeah, exactly, mate. Bobby Clark, good evening, mate. His brain's a bit frazzled after painting all day. Yeah, I've had a priming day, mate. I've done loads of priming today. I've primed terrain. I've primed all of this stuff here. Full box of bits and pieces here, which we'll come to at some point when I have a little break. I'll show you the other side of the faction starter of the starter box as well. And we'll go over some of that as well. Luke said you're going to do some good jazzy 80s colours. I'm kind of following the cards, mate. The card designs, just so it's easy for me when I come to do the review. But they do lend themselves to having some really really funky 80s theming. So yeah, who knows? We might go off piste at some point. I think they lend themselves to kind of contrast paints as well. Not because of the contrast shading aspect, but just because of the really kind of colourful pigment. So yeah, if you've got all those bright contrast paints that you think I'm not using them, or you've got a load of paints, you bought a paint set maybe, and you've got a load of colours that you don't get to use much, the brighter kind of less fantasy looking colours if you like, this is definitely the game to be breaking those paints out with. And yeah, they're a nice size. I mean, like I say, for reference, there's a bottle of Vallejo paint, so you kind of get the idea of where they are reference-wise. For those of you not Vallejo, those are the bigger wash pots from GW. Kind of gives you an idea of the size. I want one of them wearing a t-shirt that changes colour. Good evening, Anna. How are you doing as well? And I see Red Rose Wargaming in. Super Pumpkin Man says pre-painted is fine, but sometimes I end up repainting anyways to look like my paint scheme. Your paint scheme for Subbuteo are we talking here, mate? Do you not just buy your own team? Just get here. Chris Dawes says, are any of them carrying a boombox in their offhand? These particular ones, mate, don't appear to be, but I can't speak for them all. If I take a little break later on, if the painting gets a little bit warm, I might just bring up the website and we'll have a bit of a look through it as well while we're. But if there's plenty of interest in this game, I'd love to know, because, like, as an example, I did that terrain video the other day, and I'm super proud of the video. Like, it's one of the best personally for me. It's one of the best quality videos I think I've done from a kind of professional looking point of view. It's just not getting the views. Like, maybe people are just not interested in Wild West Exodus terrain. Maybe they're not interested in terrain in general. Like, for the effort I put into making it, probably took me 3 days in total with building terrain. Well, probably took me longer if I include building the terrain, filming it all, sort of editing it all together, all the fine tuning and stuff. Probably took me 3 days, and it's done less views than Monday night's live stream, for example. So it's all about whether people want to see this stuff or not. So yeah, if this is something you're interested in, folks, we could maybe do like a Monday night about it as well, and kind of talk in a bit more detail about the game, potentially after the review's gone live, so you can get a chance to ask some questions. Like I say, the guys in Australia, so time difference wise might not be great to get him personally on the stream, but by that point I'll know enough about the game to answer your questions and things. But yeah, it's like I talked about on Monday, this YouTube malarkey. Basically, a lot of it, I always intend to cover the slightly more obscure games or the lesser known games. Like, it gives lots of variety for you lot, and it also brings in, it gives me a point of difference. Basically, I'm then a channel that that does something different from the norm, if you like. Unfortunately, that is a niche within a niche, so it doesn't always get the views. So yeah, I do appreciate I do appreciate you checking out my stuff. Thankfully, my channel isn't based all upon how many views I get. It does, however, bring eyes to the stream. So, yeah. Don't forget to let your friends know, and we can build this community even more. So, I think that's is that. I need to do a bit more on the shoulders. I think I'm just referencing this card here. I mean, it's a tiny little card. I'm kind of guessing at what I can see on it, really. But we'll get some more blue onto the shoulders here, I think. Ortega says dry brushing. That reminds me, be a silly question, but do you need to clean a dry brush? Yeah, you do, mate. Well, I always clean my dry brushes because the problem is you still need the bristles to be soft. So a good dry brush isn't like, it's not stiff. So for example, if I use like these dry brushes here, these are the Artis Opus ones, and you can see like they're lovely and smooth, they're lovely and soft. Like I've got an old makeup brush here that's not really been cleaned out properly actually, so it's a bit more, but it's still soft. It's still soft. What you don't want is like this. I actually don't have one. I don't have like an old knackered one. Like for example, this is just a cheap craft brush that I use for putting glue and stuff on, and they're really quite wiry, and that's actually not very good. You want to be really softly just kind of dragging them across the top. So if you don't clean your brush, basically it's just going to get gunked up, mate. So yeah, I always clean my dry brush. You might not want to clean it between, kind of, if you're painting a model, you might actually want to use the fact that you haven't cleaned it to give a bit of a blend to your dry brushing. That can sometimes help. So but I would definitely clean it at the end of your session, for example. I wouldn't just leave it to dry out and get gunked up with paint. So, Superpunker Man says they look fun to paint. It's really nice to do something just a bit different, mate. Like painting kind of regular stuff. It's one of the things I really liked about the Burrs and Badgers stuff, mate. It's just really nice to paint something a bit different. And these are certainly different. I've not painted anything like this before. And somebody just saying there, like mini Gundam things. Yeah, that's kind of what they remind me of as well. So there's kind of first blue colouring down. Scott says Bot Wars discount code. I think, to be honest, mate, I think the guy's kind of just really starting to get this second edition out there, really. I think he's a small business. He's trying to make every penny he can, to be fair, to keep this going. And I think he probably can't afford the discount at the minute. Bobby Clark says, is it possible to pose them dynamically during assembly? Not really, mate. There's a little bit you can. So, for example, this one here. Let me just show you. The legs here are one piece, so you could cut them and repose them if you like. Like that arm in the L shape there is in one piece. That arm there is in that one piece, and the head is separate. And I think on this one, the body and the legs all come as one piece. So you could cut the legs and repose them. You've got you can move the arms around a bit, and you obviously reposition the head. But generally, not really, mate. This one, for example, it's got like one hand, like kind of like sort of cupping under the gun to hold it, and they come in two separate pieces. But that's how it's kind of meant to go, really. It's not a problem for me. I'm not a big fan of kind of reposing stuff and that, but like for this one, for example, his arms were separate, so you could put the gun by his side, you could put his fist up in the air and stuff. You could, because they're quite square, you could technically cut them and repose them if you wanted to, but yeah, they kind of come pretty fixed. Simon Dave says, hi, what are you painting, Andy? I am painting, mate, miniatures for a game called Bot War. It is essentially, it's a 8mm scale, 8mm human scale. These are obviously big robots, sort of robot combat game. And there's a whole universe around this as well. There's a nice little kind of right up at the start. He's hoping to kind of spend a bit more time fleshing out the universe, but it kind of like in his head he knows where it is. I'm sure he's got notes written down for it and stuff. But yeah. Steve Evans, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Tony says BlackJack Legacy, is the game actually available at the moment, or are they about to release it? It's available, mate. So in the UK, you can buy it from Firestorm Games. You can buy it direct from Australia. You can buy it direct from the site. It's Firestorm Games is the UK supplier, and if you look on the Traders Galaxy website, there's some suppliers I think in the US as well. So yeah, it's available now, mate. There's more stuff coming all the time. He was just showing me some new stuff, some new sculpts today, because he's a gamer like we all are, and he's excited, and he can't wait to kind of bring them out. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff kind of coming down the pipeline too. It's one of those games that kind of just flies under the radar, unfortunately. Like a lot of games, that the market is a busy market. There's a lot of games out there, and unless it's thrust in front of your face, sometimes you just don't see these games. So that's kind of that's the whole purpose of what I try and do, really, is try and bring a little bit of attention to games that maybe kind of fly under the radar, maybe don't get the love they deserve. But be honest about them. If the game isn't, when I come to play it, if the game isn't good, I'll be honest about it. But I'll be honest, like from what I've read so far, I can't see me really sort of having anything too hypercritical to say. One thing I'll say that I'll mention in the review as well is it doesn't actually tell you what size bases the models come with. So I had to do a little bit of online searching to find that out. It doesn't tell you in the rule book. It doesn't tell you on the stat card, which was a shame, but it's easily sorted. But it would have been nice if on the stat card it said 50mm base or whatever it is. It does tell you in the store. It tells you like this miniature comes supplied with 50mm base or whatever. So there is ways to find out, but it would be nice if it was a bit more obvious. But then again, at that point, you need it once when you're building the model. It's not the end of the world. But I'm just used to being able to access that kind of information relatively easily. So, what's everybody else painting tonight then, folks? Peter says his wife just bought him 5 tubes of super glue by Patex from Aldi, $1.99 per tube. Great deal. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Luke says, don't get me started on priming. I knew I had a lot of Mythic Battle stuff, but priming it all has made me realise just how much I have. I tell you what, mate, yesterday I went to start priming stuff. Started priming it. Was thinking that looks a bit glossy. What the hell's going on there? Realised that the airbrush primer that I'd bought was a gloss version. I didn't even know you could get Vallejo gloss primer. So I went shopping for one. Couldn't find any anywhere. I went to 3 different shops, like hobby shops and stuff. Couldn't find it. So I ended up buying a rattle can from Halfords, and then ordered a bottle from Amazon to come today. So yeah, it kind of delayed my plans a little bit yesterday, so I had to kind of pivot and do something different yesterday. So today's been a day of priming, and I'll show you what I've been priming up actually. So I've been making a start priming up some of the Wild West Exodus terrain and stuff as well. Let me go to, if I go to, this one might fit a bit more on the camera. Getting ready to do a video to show you how I've got a few that I'll kind of do in advance. But I'll be making a video on basically how to paint this MDF terrain. So the airbrush has been going overtime. Yeah, it never ends. Peter says even a small amount of paint stiffen a brush. That's why many people use brush soap. Yeah, definitely, mate. Even just using a bit of hand soap or something, just if you haven't got any brush soap to hand, just to kind of to soften it up and loosen it up. Peter says terrain video. If you haven't seen my terrain video, mate, my Wild West Exodus MDF terrain video that I released on Friday, I thought you'd commented on it, mate, but maybe you hadn't. So to be honest, I don't think YouTube really shared it out, which doesn't really help me. Sometimes they do that kind of stuff where they just think, oh, I'm not going to share this one with subscribers. It actually tells me that it tells me how many people they've kind of put it in front of. Like, put it this way, it it's had less impressions, which means it's been shown to people less times than I do have subscribers. So I know it hasn't showed it to all my subscribers, which is frustrating, that. But that's why you have to turn on the notifications, folks. Click the little bell icon, and then it should always, if you click show me everything, it should always share them with you. But yeah, YouTube's a bit temperamental from time to time on stuff like that, and it doesn't help you when you're a creator and you're trying to do your best and get stuff out there. Luke saying, I had this game on my radar for a long time now. I've always loved the Transformers as a child in the 80s, and this is kind of the kind of shit I dreamed of. Yeah, so basically I think version 1 was the one which was basically, I think it was metal miniatures. The rules I don't think were that dissimilar, but it was definitely more focused around kind of getting ready off the back of going after the Transformers license. And I think since then, obviously, he's basically he's taken away anything that could have been potentially kind of IP infringing, any likenesses or anything like that of actual Transformer stuff. He's taken away any of that stuff, rejigged some stuff, and the miniatures are resin now as well. And I'll be honest, the quality is great. So that's that bit done. We'll tidy that up in a little bit. Peter says, have you thought about advertising your videos on the relevant Facebook groups? I have, mate, and I do, to be fair. Very rarely do I go into other groups and kind of share my videos, but if it's something a little bit unusual or it's something a bit different, I do go in and share them, mate. But actually, when it's a bit of a myth when people say, like, you get loads of views from YouTube. So if you go and share your video in loads of groups, you get loads and loads of views. It's kind of a myth, really, because the data doesn't support that. Like probably less than 10% of my views come from external sources outside of YouTube itself. And of those external sources, it then breaks it down as to where those 10% of views come from. And normally something like about 6 or 7% of those 10% of my views come from like Facebook or something like that. So I tend not, it's easier for me not to kind of share it all over Facebook and just piss people off. Like they go, God, every time I kind of switch on Facebook, like, this guy's just sharing video after video after video after video on all the different groups. It actually does you more harm, I think, long term than views it gets. I get a lot of my views from Google. Actually, I've kind of worked to try and make my videos searchable. So quite a lot of my stuff, if somebody's searching for MDF terrain, for example, they'll probably come across my video. Scott says you can actually buy blank teams for Subbuteo. I saw that, mate. I have seen that, but I don't know why you'd want to, if I'm honest. Super Pumpkin Man says they make a Robotech tabletop miniature game that can make a Gundam. Palladium Games make one. William Jones, good evening, mate. So I'm wondering if right now people are more interested in more socialising streams. I thought Wild West Terrain video was powerful. I think it's more. It's a combination of a number of things, mate. I've slightly changed the thumbnail to see if that makes a difference. To see, because it tells me what's called the click-through rate. So it tells me how many people have seen it and then have clicked on it. So I get an idea of how good the thumbnail is. Thumbnails are hugely important. You can have the best video in the world, but if people are not interested by your thumbnail, then they won't click on it. It's one of the reasons why clickbait works so well. There's a video I was watching today by a guy called Quackalope, I think it is, does board game reviews and stuff, and he's come up with a really good kind of series actually, where essentially he's doing 2 videos on a game, and he's taking 2 different sides of the argument. So I think the latest one is Kingdom Death Monster, and he's basically had made a video saying why it's my favourite game, and then he's also made a video saying 5 reasons why you shouldn't play it. And the negative one, the 5 reasons why you shouldn't play it, has had twice as many views as the positive one. And I think that's it's the state of social media, it's the state of YouTube now. It's like, unfortunately, like, negativity drives clicks. And it's a real shame, because I don't want to go down that route. But if I put some kind of more sensationalistic kind of thumbnail, that's what draws people in. It's the reason why all of the stuff around GW shorten the community of not getting enough sort of like sets out to people and stuff, like the Indomitus sets. It's why those kind of things do like sort of quite so strong. I watched a video the other day about the Guild Ball closing down stuff, Guild Ball game ending, and actually after I watched it, I was tempted to cut the part out of our Monday night live stream when I was talking about it and actually make it into its own like little separate video, because the person who made the video obviously just wanted to jump on the bandwagon as quickly as possible. Kind of wanted to get the clicks, the immediate clicks, create that kind of clickbaity title, and just basically mine the views that way. And then actually when I watched the video, I got the impression they hadn't even read the announcement. They were kind of skimming through the announcement while they were making the video to try and make head nor tail of it and describe what it was about. And I thought, the problem is people have already clicked on the video by that point. Like they've already got the views, and that's a real shame. Like, I'd rather spend time and research it and do a proper video, but unfortunately, that's not how YouTube works. They just want you to jump on the bandwagon as quickly as possible. Simon Davis says the train video was great, mate. Almost got me buying it, and I don't play Wild West Exodus. Peter, I do intend to look for game play vids for this, but I prefer Godzilla. Yeah, Godzilla's never really been my thing. I've not really been into that kind of Japanese guy. Is it called Guy Used to it? I think it is. Tony says I wanted to like BattleTech, but the rulebook made my brain hurt. This looks like something I might enjoy. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, mate, let me just very quickly grab the book again. The book it's 42 actually it's not 42 pages, it's 66 pages long, but the scenarios start on page 42. There's some little things about the factions. The rules themselves are essentially about 20 pages or something like that, not even that, maybe 10 pages. So the game turn here starts on page 10. And then if I flick through, the basic rules kind of end around page 21, and then there's some information about like special rules. So you'll see on the cards here how they have things like inspiring presence and pure of purpose. There's like basically, let's have a look for inspiring presence, for example. So inspiring presence, any friendly model that can draw a line of sight to this model can re-roll one dice of their choice. So basically it's kind of like a one-off ability that he's got. So yeah, it's relatively straightforward, mate, relatively simple, which suits me and my old brain. Right, let's put a little bit of black contrast, I think, onto his gun. Yorkham says, I've been building Battle Systems Fantasy Village. It sure has its ups and downs. I think I was unfortunate to get a set that was cut with a dull blade. Makes my hobby knife dull. I'm not sure that you got a one-off, mate. I've had a couple of issues with some of the bits out of mine as well, and we'll get to it when I get to my review, mate. It's definitely got its place, that's for sure. But then after getting the MDF stuff and building that, I'm not sure I'd be super kind of quick to buy more of the battle system stuff at the minute. But I haven't finished with it yet. When I get to the full review, that's something else I'm building in the background, and you'll know yourself just how long it takes to clear all that out. Also frustratingly, there's no instructions. You have to watch the Battle Systems YouTube videos, and then obviously you needing to watch them step by step, so you need to watch a bit and pause it and rewind it a little bit, and that's time consuming as well, because you can't just kind of read the instructions. So it's just little things like that. Whilst it's great that Colin's made those videos, and then at least you can kind of see the buildings coming together. I just wish there was an easier access point for instructions, because a lot of battle system stuff is much more modular. I feel like the new fantasy stuff is the least modular stuff that they've done. It looks better, but it's the least modular, I would say. But anyway, I'm spoiling all my video review stuff now. So forget I said that and get ready to watch the video. Let me scroll back a little bit. Wow, it's been that load of chat has just jumped forward there, hasn't it? Blizzard says, now, do these bots change into other things? Are they like models for them if they do? I'm not really sure. I know some of them can combine together to make these super big models. They've got like models that's like 150 mil tall. And I think they're kind of like called like combiners or something like that. I'll have to do a bit more reading of it. So I do know that some of them can combine back together. But I'm not sure if they transform into stuff. There is trucks and cars and like planes and stuff in the game and helicopters, but I haven't read enough yet, mate, to know for sure exactly how that all comes together. Right, I'll let that stuff dry for a bit, and we'll give one of the other minis a bit of a going. So this one is called Top Star. We'll do this one, and I need a bit of a deeper blue, I think, for this one. We'll go with Cantor blue, I think. Barry Kleiber says, yay, Wednesday. Super Pumpkin Man says, I have a paint scheme for my Star Wars X-Wing fleet, which is dark blue, bright blue, yellow, medium grey, black and white, and I've been repainting all my Rebels to match. Nice, mate. Ah, yeah, you're talking about repainting X-Wing stuff, and yeah, I was talking about Subbuteo made before. Steve Evans says, painting lava bases tonight, temperature appropriate hobbying. Yes, you are not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong indeed. It's definitely unusually warm, and it's just, I think as Luke was mentioning on his stream last night, it's what us Brits like to do. We like to complain about the weather. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too dry, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just we should thank ourselves lucky. I mean, somebody, it might have been Barry actually on Monday night's stream talking about sort of tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff coming. We should think ourselves lucky. I think in the UK we don't really get the nicest of weather generally, but we don't get the worst of it either. That's for sure. Yeah, we seem to sit somewhere in the middle, like most Brit stuff. We're just somewhere in the middle. Let's have a look. Simon Dave says the minis look cool. Reminds me of the old Transformers cartoon. Yeah, they've definitely got that kind of that like Generation 1 kind of feel about them, haven't they? But yeah, they are not Transformers. I must stress. David Moffat says the Gundam game pretty outdated by modern gaming standards. It was fun though. I don't even know about it, mate. Tony says there's a big robot game called GK Heavy Hitters. I've heard of that, mate. GK. I feel like I know what that stands for and I can't remember now. Yeah, I think pre-printed stuff can be quite pricey. I mean, it's like River Horse do the Pacific Rim game, and all of their robots or whatever they're called, I forget what they're called in Pacific Rim, they're all pre-painted as well, and I can only assume that come with its own sets of problems as well, quality control and stuff like that. So, Ortega says, anyway, better head off now. Look forward to catch up what I miss all. Thank you, Ortega. I will catch you soon, mate. And thank you for sharing my stuff on Twitter and stuff as well as you always do. Much appreciated, mate. Steve's doing a bit basing tonight as well. Is Steve Evans talking to Steve Evans? Oh, there's two Steve Evans in tonight. I was thinking, why is Steve Evans talking to Steve Evans? I know there are two Steve Evans. I just didn't realise they were both in the chat tonight. Good evening, Steves. Luke says, see, this is the influence you have. I'm upstairs at and going to do some painting. If I get heat stroke, it's on you. Well, at least if you get heat stroke, mate, you won't be around to kind of come back and complain to me. Let's put it that way. That's what these streams are about, though, mate. They're just about, like, you know, when you don't feel like doing painting, it's like, oh well, I'm here now. I'm kind of hanging out. The chat's all right, you know. I'm catching up with the community and stuff. We're just kind of hanging out. I might as well get the paints out. Otherwise, it's dead time, you know. It's breaking into that painting pile. So, yeah, that's the whole point of these, really. it gives me a chance to just kind of ramble, have a bit more of a relaxed chat, get to know some of you a bit more as well. It's a great way for me to get to know some of the Patreons as well, because obviously we tend to have a high proportion of the Patreons come and hang out in these streams. It's a good chance for me to get to know you lot. For those of you that are not Patreons, gives you a chance to kind of to get to know me a little bit more as well, find out what I'm about, maybe sort of give you the idea to go and check the Patreon out. And it also gives me, like, I have to paint stuff anyway to do reviews and to give opinions on stuff. So if I'm going to be sitting painting anyway, it's quite. I mentioned something on Twitter today. It's quite a solitary kind of job I've got now. Like I don't work with anybody else. Like I work on my own. I work at home, so I'm not like going out of the house very much at the minute, anything like that. And actually, these streams are a nice way to kind of just to feel part of something, really, to feel part of a community in that. So yeah, I appreciate you lot coming in. It really does make a difference to me. So thank you very much, folks. Steve saying good job, doppelganger. Jacob's cleaning and organising the hobby room. There's something really therapeutic about giving the hobby room a bit of a tidy up. Every now and again I do it with the studio as well, because I try to keep it organised and try to keep it tidy, purely because like if it gets sort of cluttered up in here and I'm trying to like walk around and move lights around and set cameras up and stuff, it's like a death trap. I mean, this room's not the biggest when it comes to trying to do what I'm trying to do in here. I would love to have more space, but I've got no room to complain, kind of thing. I'm still sort of blessed that I've got the space to do what I do. But yeah, every now and again, I have a really good kind of spring clean in here, and let me just zoom that in a little bit more, because I feel like it's a bit of a smaller one. This one. Let me stop the camera bouncing around. Don't all get seasick. Yeah, just giving it a good clean up, a good tidy up. It makes a world of difference. You just kind of feel motivated to get stuff done. So I try and like kind of once a week now, just put things away, have a dust around, just kind of get ready for the Monday morning to start again. Really, just gives me a bit of a kick to get creating again. I find it difficult to be in a creative mode when I'm just surrounded by stuff. And recently, as I mentioned the other night on the stream, a lot of the companies I've been chatting to try and get ready to kind of send some stuff out to review on the channel and to feature. It all kind of came at once. So what happened is this room ended up looking like a delivery office. All the parcels and boxes and stuff. I'm a bit short of kind of storage elsewhere, which is one of the reasons I would love more space, but it's a nice problem to have. I'm running out of storage because people are sending me stuff. That's not it's not exactly a bad thing. I just need to get a better way to kind of organise it and store it and stuff, and get it in a queue, so the stuff that comes in is the next stuff I work on, kind of stuff. So all the joys of learning as I go. I've never had all these problems before, so they're nice problems to have. I'm enjoying that challenge of doing something new and kind of trying to work out the best ways to do stuff. I'm making a lot of mistakes along the way, but that's all part of the fun. A mistake's only a mistake if you keep making it again and again. If you make it the first time and learn from it, then it was never a mistake. So there you go, words of wisdom. Super Punker Man says he's painting his 40k Orc Goth rocks. I really need to finish them for a friend. Simon Dave says he's painting up the Indomitus Marines. I got a new airbrush and compressor, so I've been messing about with that. I'm dying to get started on mine, mate. I can't wait to get stuck in and get some paint on my Marines. However, they're more of a hobby project for me, to be fair. They're more of a personal kind of hobby thing rather than work for the channel. So unfortunately, until I get caught up on work stuff, I can't really justify painting anything up for myself. That's the problem at the minute, but I'll catch up eventually. Like I say, everything come at once, so like I say, it's a nice problem to have, really. I've got no idea if I am going to kind of get a bigger screen that I can kind of put right in front of, like, behind the camera, just so when I'm painting and stuff I can actually see whether when I'm on shot or not. Because what tends to happen is I have to keep glancing at a small screen in front of me that's then split up into like 4 different boxes showing different things. David said I just put some Vallejo gloss black on some test Space Marines, airbrushing some colour shifters on them when it cures. Yeah, I didn't even know you could get the gloss one, mate. I must have ordered it by mistake from Amazon, not noticed. And I didn't even notice when I shook the bottle and put it into the airbrush and sprayed it through. It just looked really shiny under the lights, and I thought it was just because I'd thinned it a bit too much. I thought it was maybe wet, and I thought that was why it was really shiny. It turns out that was not the issue. Actually, the issue was just the fact that it was gloss. So I have no idea when I'll ever use it again. Honestly, he's going to leave you guys to it. Friday's going to paint up some models with his granddaughter. For now, we're going to get some sleep. It's like way too humid. Yes, mate, have a good kit, mate, and I will catch you next time. Tony says, I'd be tempted to keep that terrain like that. It looks like a silent movie scenery. Do you know what it is, mate? I love how it looks. I've also obviously sort of primed up the minis as well. And honestly, together, I just if it wasn't because I was filming with it, I'd be tempted. It does look like an old black and white movie, but it's meant to be kind of like pre-primed, ready for the colours to go over the top of it, like the washes and stuff. But yeah, I like it as well. I mentioned that in the Patreon today, in the Patreon chat. I kind of like how it looks. I was thinking, like, if I just did a little bit of like kind of Sin City type spot colours, just to kind of break it up a little bit, it would look pretty cool. So who knows? I might do myself a little warband like that. So, okay, let's get some reds on this one now, I think. Margot says, how did you keep the texture on the MDF even after priming? Do you know what it is, mate? I did a test piece on it because I'd seen something like this online and I thought there's no way that will keep all of the texture. And it just does. I primed it, I painted it black, I sprayed the whole thing black, and then went with a grey and kind of just like lightly went over it, patched it up a little bit. Let me just get this top bit here so you can kind of see. This is the roof of it. So you can kind of see, so I've kind of sort of sprayed in with a bit of grey and stuff, and then went in with a white and just picked some extra little bits out and stuff. So there you can see the back of it where I primed it black. But the grooves in it, this is where I was trying to explain in the video. There's so much detail in it, and the grooves are deep enough that actually when it comes to spraying it, it retains that design, it retains that detail. And honestly, it just looks absolutely brilliant. It's one of the reasons I'm kind of super impressed with it. Let me just put this brush down a second, and I'll just zoom out again a little bit so you can kind of see it. So you can just kind of see the zoom back down so you can actually see the detail in it. That's better. So you can see there, like on those clocks and dials and things, it's just retained all of that detail. Even like the little rivets in the side, like they're actually all like engraved into it. So yeah, it's come up really nice, mate. I'm hugely looking forward to putting that video up. Again, it's one of those that'll take time. So obviously I've spent the time building them and stuff, which was one of the videos. But now now I have to do like a couple of test jobs to make sure it works. Then I have to actually film the proper version. And unfortunately, if the video doesn't get the views, it's a little bit like I've kind of wasted days doing it. But I'm doing it because I love it. Really, that's the top and bottom of it. I'm doing it because I love it. Dirk says the Gundam collection only seem to be available in Japanese. I can imagine that, mate. Yokum's talking to Tony. Super Punk Man says, man, I need a new airbrush and a small compressor. My cheap airbrush broke after 3 months and I just need a smaller compressor. My 50-gallon is a little too big. Mine's just a cheap one, mate, to be fair. I bought a decent brush later on, and what I found is that actually I do get more control with it, and it is way, way easier to clean, which is a blessing. It's much easier to kind of strip and give it a big clean. But the airbrush is just the standard. I think it's like a something 165. Most of the ones that you get on Amazon are all kind of cheap Chinese versions of the same one. It's like they make them in one factory and rebrand them under 100 different names. Luke's saying, tonight's painting reminds me of a discussion we had on my stream last night. Favourite 80s, 90s kids shows and theme tune. Transformers, Thundercats and Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles were my favourites. God, favourite theme tunes. The one I didn't like as a TV show, but the theme tune that sticks in my head, even now as older, well, two of them probably, is Dogtanian and the Musker Hounds, which actually I hated the cartoon. When it come on, it was one of them where I just thought, oh no, turn it over. So I didn't like the TV show, but the theme tune really sticks in my head. And Mysterious Cities of Gold as well. There's another one that always sticks in my head, even though I never used to watch that. Ulysses as well as another theme tune. Ulysses. I don't know if I'm kind of mentioning ones that everybody was familiar with. They're not the usual ones. But yeah, He-Man. I did used to like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Let's have a look further down. Tyrese saying Bell Yeah Squad. That's it, mate. Just the Bell Squad. If you're not part of the Bell Squad, you're not with it, man. You're not down with the kids. I think there's only something like 10% of my subscribers have the bell notifications turned on. So I know these things. I'm keeping an eye on you, really. Yeah, it's amazing how much like background stats YouTube give you access to. And if you're not careful, especially when you're first starting out in YouTube channel, you can be absolutely blinded by data, and you can react to every little kind of upturn and downturn in data. And what I've learned basically is you need to kind of look at it over like 3-month periods and stuff. You need to see whether blips are just momentary blips, you know. Did you post a video up at the same time the World Cup final was on, for example? Or is it like a downward trend or an upward trend or something like that? Did you just get lucky with a topic? That kind of stuff. So yeah, don't react too quickly to stuff. Don't even worry about every single individual video. Easy to say it, not so easy to do. Oops, get back. Because like anything, when you do it, you want to do well. Even when you're just doing it because you love and enjoy it, you still want to do well at it, don't you? It's like when you're painting a model. Like your standard is the only standard you judge yourself to. You should judge yourself by. But you still want to do a good job of it. Like nobody sets out to intentionally do a bad job. So yeah. Well, it's getting warm, folks. Let me get a beer. Peter says, sorry, my friend, I just saw the video on your list. Don't worry, mate. As long as you catch up with it, that's all. I'm not. Sorry, that sounded wrong. All I mean is, it's just like it's nice if people just check it out because I'm proud of it. That's all. Luke's saying you can actually get the starter set in metal or resin for a small price difference. I'm not sure if it's all moving towards resin now, and maybe the metal ones are the older ones. I'm not sure. I'll have to check out with Anthony on that one. But I must admit, I'm impressed with the resins. I've not seen the metal ones to compare against, but if there's not a huge difference between them, I'd wholeheartedly recommend the resins. Just want to put a little bit of. Tell you what, I'm definitely not cut out for kind of like fine detail stuff. My old eyes are definitely not designed for that kind of stuff. It's a good job I don't really mind too much. Get these panels in on the backs of the leg. There's something about blue and red, isn't it? Just always looks good. Always looks like a superhero. Steve Evans is saying same and Mask. I love Mask as well. I used to have all those Mask toys. Dirk says Dr. Snuggles is great. Was it from the 90th? in the 90s. Dr. Snuggles, I vaguely remember that. Scott's saying 70 quid for the starter set isn't a bad price for what you get. No, I'll show you later on what you get, mate, because I haven't showed you the other faction yet. Although you will have seen that now by looking online. But, yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. If there's anybody new in the chat tonight, then give me a shout. Let me know if we've got any newbies in tonight. Be good to see if we've got some new faces. If you haven't already subscribed, please do consider clicking that subscribe button. Always good to get some new faces in the community. Just get this panel on the back here. Dirk says, "Oh, Captain Future." I don't remember Captain Future, mate. He says, "Oh man, it's so hot today. It's around 106." Oh, that's you foreign folks in your weird Fahrenheit. 106 is about 33, something like that. Dirk saying he got an Iwata Neo airbrush as his first. It's cheap and reliable. Yeah, they're good brushes, mate. To be fair, that's probably a good one compared to what I would consider a cheap one is. Dirk saying €70 just for the pistol. Yeah, I can't remember how much I paid on mine, but it was a gift from my wife. That's why I can't remember. Bloggy saying, "Hey guys and gals, this is a game I've been really curious about, Andy. Why do you hate my wallet?" Sorry, mate. Hello, by the way. John says, "Really like the terrain video. The game's not my bag though. I think your approach is on track for sustainability." I think so, mate. I think it's one of those things that, like, I'm impatient. That's just me by nature. I just I like to see things growing fast. You know, I'm used to kind of working in fast moving industries and stuff like that, and it's easy to get a little bit dismayed when things don't always go to plan the first time. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep plugging away, mate. This was always about the long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and all that kind of cliches. And it's going in the right direction, mate. If it was going backwards, I'd have problems, and it's not going backwards. So it's working out quite well. Right, a bit of white. Got Captain America looking here. James Bray, good evening to you, my friend. How are you doing? Hope you're well. It's like I spoke and then the entire screen moves. Where was that one at? Let me dive. Oh, I'm just going to dive in, otherwise you're going to. Giant Killer Robots, that's what the GK was. James says, "Oof, £70 for this starter set." I don't think it's too bad, mate, in the grand scheme of things. When you think of how many minis you're getting inside it, you're getting a couple of war bands and a couple of bands in there. You're getting custom dice that you need for the game. You're getting the tokens you need, the cards you need, the rule book. I know this is the problem with the bigger companies. They almost kind of like. They can sell them cheaper because they're like blasting out kind of high volumes of them, aren't they? But when you're a smaller company, you can't really like. It's the scale of economics of scale. Basically, they just can't do it the same way. I mean, look at what Mantic did. It took them a long time to get their 2-player starter set for Vanguard out because they basically just said they couldn't price it right. And I still think it's a little expensive if I'm honest, but Jaegers, that's what they call it. Thank you very much, Super Pumpy Man. Marcus painting his intercessors tonight. Peter said I had to turn off the lights and stop painting due to feeling woozy. Man, it's hot in here for the UK. It certainly is, mate. It certainly is. Marcus saying custom one based on the Raptors. The green ones, mate. They're awesome, aren't they? Super Punk Man said last week I was trying to write a campaign and listen to the chat, but I got more into the stream, so I find it easier to paint and chat. I find it easier to paint and chat than I did trying to build models last week and chat. That was actually way more difficult because it was a bit more like this. This just feels quite free. Like I kind of get a bit of paint on and I can just kind of chat, and like almost like the artistic side of it just kind of sort of takes over, and you get quite relaxed by it. When I was trying to build models, it felt like I was having to really concentrate. I was having to take it quite serious. Peter Cooman says, was complaining that it's too warm for painting, and my wife said, don't paint then. I told her that your live streams keep me busy with my hobby at least 2 days a week, so no. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Wow, is that where we're up to? Marco's saying yellow scary. Bloody hell, we are far behind. What time is it now? I'm about 20 minutes behind the chat. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll drive for 5 minutes. I'll have a drink and we'll catch up on the chat for a bit. Steve's saying, hobby room if only. I'm waiting for the kids to move out. Yeah, I'm dead fortunate, mate. We've got a little one, and I've got 2 older sons as well. We had to buy a house with enough bedrooms so that when they came over and stuff, like there was space for them. And luckily we have a spare room, which is what I use for the studio stuff here, really. So whilst it's not technically as big as I would like to do all of the stuff that I do in here, I'm still more than blessed, mate. I'm still more than blessed. I don't find yellow scary, Marco. I quite like painting yellow. I'd quite happily have an Imperial Fists army. Dirk saying, is that blue contrast paint you're using? No, it wasn't, mate. It was Cantor blue or Macragge blue, just kind of thinned down. I sometimes use contrast paints, but I haven't used it on this one. Steve saying his girls have been gone for a couple of years now, so he has a nice double bedroom for a gaming room. Yeah, my older lads are kind of 18 in November, and they'll be off to uni next year, and they probably won't be kind of staying over quite so much. So probably what I'll do is I'll put 2 single beds into one of those rooms, so when they do come and stay, they can just share a room for the time they're here. And then I'll probably convert one of their other bedrooms into probably like a live streaming room, really. And then I'll use this one for filming the main videos. Because one of the problems I've got at the minute, why I would love to have a bit more space, is when I'm filming those bigger videos and I've got stuff set up. So I've got a nice like electric slider which I put the camera on, and it gets those nice sweeping shots, and I get product set up on here and get the lights in a different position and get everything set up. I then have to strip it all down when I'm getting ready for a live stream on a Monday or on a Wednesday. So it would be nice to have space just for live streaming, a separate space where I can just set up for live streaming and not worry about it, and then have a space where I can do all of the gameplay type stuff and the reviews and all of the kind of talking head videos and stuff. So it would be nice longer term, I think, if the channel ever got to a point where I was earning enough money, I could maybe rent a small kind of unit or a small space. I'd be tempted to do that. I think, like, if any of you are familiar with the Top Table Gaming lads, they're based at Element Games, and the unit where Element Games is, they basically rent a couple of rooms from a guy that has a like an escape room thing, like in the same building. He's got some empty rooms, and they rent a couple of rooms at a really kind of cheap discounted price from him, which gives them space to have like a studio and stuff set up as well. I'm doing all of this like in a spare bedroom at home, basically. So you'll have seen it on my video, like on the one that was a bit of a hobby tour, a bit of a studio tour. It's not tiny, don't get me wrong. It's like a double bedroom size kind of thing. It's not the biggest of double bedrooms, but it's a double bedroom. But it's just by the time you get lights in here, by the time I get screens up, by the time I've got like an overhead rig coming on here, I've got to have a big enough table for it to get microphone and paint and bits and pieces on. I've got my airbrush over in the corner there. It could just... Now I'm spending so much time here, I'm starting to feel that I would like a little bit more space. Busey Singh, good evening. Slowly coming out of rage due to courier beat. Are you still getting on? Oh, he says known that his set is in Spain, but the courier's email and total lies. What, mate? Oh, hope you get that soon, mate. Mark says just apply a sepia filter to your upcoming Wild West Exodus video and call it a day. To be honest, mate, I'm going to go over the top of what I've done here with a sepia wash to kind of to give it that kind of brown start anyway, mate. So I don't even have to do that in the video. 3 failed deliveries, mate, and someone's been home every time. That is awful, mate. Steve's saying his boys are 26, 22 and 18. Eldest is saving for a house, middle child saving to move out and bring his American girlfriend to the UK, and the youngest is content to stay at home. There's always one doesn't want to move out, mate, isn't there? Peter's saying lots of people paint their Walking Dead in black and white like the comics. I've seen some great stuff. I have as well, mate, and to be fair, if it was just for me, just to play at home, I'd be tempted just to do the same thing, I think, because I quite like how it looks. But it's going on camera, it's going on video, and it doesn't. I don't think it looks quite as good like on camera. It needs to have a bit of colour on it, I think. Seymour Dave saying that the Sin City style paint scheme would look nice. Yeah, if you look in the Wild West Exodus channel in our Discord chat, in the Patreon chat, I put a picture in of the Go Chosen minis that I painted a few years ago. I did a really, really quick paint job just so that when I was playing it, you could tell which model was which. And I did like a Sin City type scheme. So I basically kind of like Zenithal primed them like this with black and grey and white. And then picked out certain parts of it in different colours. So picked out one model with like a red symbol on his axe or something. Picked out another model with like a blue symbol on his, or blue cloth around his neck or something like that. So just so you could see that, oh, that's the red model, that's the blue model, and you could identify which was which. Scott's got his Death Watch built for Kill Team. Nice one, mate. Williams says, love those buildings. They're fantastic quality, mate. I've been really... I would never have said how good they were just from seeing them online or seeing pictures of them on the website and stuff. It's not until I got them in my hands I realised the quality, how good they were. Busey saying now says provide solution. I provide solution before, which was to send to a pickup point. Don't want to send to a pickup point. Oh, that is awful, mate. Oh, God. I hope you get that sorted soon, mate. Super Pumpkin Man says they're a good setup of MDF terrain, so detailed and awesome, not completely flat. Yeah, definitely, mate. Busey saying I pretty much know now, had this from DPD in Spain, that I will not get it. Oh, mate, I really hope it gets sorted soon for you, mate. I feel for you. Peter says, don't feel your few vids that get not many views are a waste of time. It all adds to your street cred. It's funny, mate, because I did a couple of videos a while ago and I released 2 videos on the same day about airbrushing. One was kind of the airbrushing, cleaning the basics and stuff, and the other one was about like setup and prepping the paint and stuff. And the one about stripping the airbrush down got loads of views initially, and the other one about like kind of how to set your compressor up and how to thin your paints, like didn't do anything. It was like the worst performing video of my last 10 videos. It ranks your last 10 videos and tells you how they're performing against each other, and it was the worst one by far. And I kind of just put it down to like, it's maybe I've missed the topic kind of thing. Maybe putting 2 out on the same day is kind of, it stopped one growing. And yet when I look back recently, like the last couple of days, that second video now is kind of like about a month later, it just took off, and it's starting to kind of like rack up. It's now one of my 3 most popular videos every day now. So it just shows sometimes some of them are slow burners, and as long as you tag them right, as long as you title them right, as long as you make the thumbnail interesting enough, sometimes they'll kind of come back. And I'm learning all that stuff, and that's why I'm saying like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes a video doesn't always take off immediately. The ones that take off immediately tend to be the ones that are like a specific topic. Like if I made a video about the Indomitus box selling out on the day it sold out, those are the ones that take off, but then they don't come back. Like they die off eventually. Like I made a video a while ago about why I wasn't going to Salute anymore, and it did okay. Like it did okay initially, and then initially out of nowhere, it kind of took off, and it was getting like hundreds and hundreds of views every day. And it was because Salute was coming back around again the next year. So again, if you title them right, these things come back. Some videos are what's called like evergreen, where like setting up an airbrush is something people will search for forever. How to build a gaming table is something people search for forever. It's the reason that video's done like 60,000 views now. So I know that I should just kind of get the video up there and then forget about it and concentrate and put my energy into the next one. But it's hard not to feel that you kind of like, I spent a lot of time on that and it hasn't done as well as I hoped. VJ's in, says, how are we all? Good evening, mate. How are you doing? Dino Riders, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. They are ninjas. They were heroes in the UK, mate, originally. Ninja was a word that you couldn't see on TV, on kids' TV back then. You can now, but at the time, they were called Hero Turtles. Shadowcat says, have you heard about Legends of Grayskull? That's the thing that's on Netflix at the minute, isn't it? I've seen it a while ago. Hello, Shadowcat, by the way. It's a really interesting documentary, actually. It's also on the, what's it called? The Toys That Made Us. There's an episode about He-Man, and that's kind of like a compressed version of that, I think. Hong Kong Phooey. Oh, God, that was a good theme tune. VG says, all the He-Man episodes are on YouTube now. I sub to watch them with my little bloke when we're chilling out. Nice, mate. Shadowcat, it's Cortex system. Cortex. I thought I must have missed that bit. Seymour Davis says, I loved Ulysses as a kid. Yeah, the theme tune always sticks in my head as well. Marco says, I heard that happy dancers boost views. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Zingbo says the 80s animated Transformers movie had a great soundtrack. It did, mate. That was an awesome movie. Has anybody seen the new Transformers that's on Netflix at the moment? It's a brand new kind of cartoon for Netflix, but it's based upon the old 80s original series. Wonder Woman reruns. VJ saying there's a new animated series coming out. It's been Zingbo says I remember the Musker Hounds. Yeah. God, Cities of Gold and Ulysses 31. We may have similar ages. I think so, mate. Yeah. Steve says it's raining now. Suddenly very chilly. I wish it was suddenly very chilly here. VJ says soon I go, but you are painting there. Something like that, mate. Mark says starter set does look good value for money. Shadowcat says I think it's Robot Wars. It's if you talk about this game, mate, it's Bot Wars or Bot War. Sorry, Bot War, not Bot Wars. Evening chaps, Richard Smith, good evening to you, mate. David Mackay says, I like Danger Mouse. Looking back, it's really bad. Do you know what it is, mate? Recently, I went through with my little boy and watched lots of old cartoons. I was kind of showing him stuff that was cartoons when I was a kid. So we watched things like Danger Mouse. We watched, what was the other one? Count Duckula, which might not have made it across to the States and stuff like that. We watched Banana Man. We watched a few other bits and pieces. Some of them have not aged well. Danger Mouse. Not Danger Mouse. Sorry, Count Duckula was awful. I remember it being cool when I was a kid. As cool as kind of kids' cartoons are. But it's just not aged well. It's just not good. It's a shame, really. Somebody talking about G-Force there, I think. Wow, the chat is busy tonight, folks. Get the chat going. Jason, have I missed any? Right, I'm going to skip ahead because nobody's actually told me to speak to me directly anyway. John is still saying I'm definitely in a slow-moving industry. Reputations take a long time to build, but can be easily lost. You are not wrong, mate. I know what industry you're in. I know exactly what you mean. VJ says, from the UK streamers I watch, it sounds like you guys are having a heat wave, so probably in Aussie springtime. It is a bit of a heat wave at the minute, mate. It'll be over and done with soon, so you only have us mourning for a week or two. Peter says, I spoke and the entire screen moved. That's not right, Andy. It's up off my screen. I intentionally said something different for a change. Brave Star was the dog's danglies. I like that, mate. VJ says, Silverhawks was always better show than Thundercats. Does anybody remember Terrorhawks? That's something else that kind of sticks in my mind. I don't remember the theme tune or anything, but I remember the show. Jason the Wheeled Warriors. VJ says building requires a bit more active logic. Yeah, I think that's what it is, mate. I must have the left brain, right brain thing. Shadowcat says pink base coat before the yellow. I always find Reichland Sunset, Avalon Sunset, just goes on. No problem at all. I do like a pink base underneath it, for a shade, but I always find it goes on really well. Tiberius is saying yellow is easy if you use clear colours like Tamiya sprayed on. I did a video about easy to paint yellow, easy ways to paint yellow and painting yellow marines and stuff. I just don't find it difficult. Luke says, what slider do you have? I forget what it's called now, mate. I'll dig it out and I'll pop it in the Facebook group or something like that. But it's one you can control with an app on your phone, where you can control the speed. You set it like an in point and an out point, and it basically moves between the two. And you can also move like a bar on it, like a tilt on it. So it can either pan around pointing at the same spot, or it can basically come as it moves across, it pans across as it moves and stuff. So you can do a few bits of fancy setups with it and stuff. I bought it once. I started doing this stuff full time, really, because it gives you more interesting shots. I used to do all my sliding shots by having my camera on on a gorilla pod on like a towel, and smoothly trying to keep the speed the same constant and dragging the towel across the top of my table. And it gave me some nice effects, but it's it's just time consuming, that's all. Too many good 80s and 90s cartoons. You're not wrong, mate. Scroll down a bit. James Bracy, I had a copy of The Walking Dead, #1 copy in the loft. Sold it a couple of years ago for £700. Well worth selling, but I hope it's not worth £1 million one day. They're all coming out again, aren't they? They're doing a reprint of The Walking Dead comics, but they're going to be in colour this time. Dirks has rented a whole flat for hobby stuff. Happen to have a bed and a small kitchen in here. I've been looking today to see how much it would be to rent a small space, and I actually said to my wife, I went, it's cheaper to rent a house than it is to rent like a factory unit type thing, like a small unit, like a thing. It's cheaper to rent a house. Just got the living room. Luke saying originally I started doing monochrome Sin City style for Mythic Battles, with just one or two other colours, had a bit of punch, but realised that they were minis it was not going to work for. I'm not familiar with those minis actually. Andrew Fairbanks, good evening mate. He says, bought a bunch of the Guild Ball stuff today, would have waited, but 60% off is a hard bargain to pass. No, I don't play, but I like the minis. That's nothing wrong with that. It's a good game, mind. Let's not get away from the fact it is a good game. It's like any game. Like, I'm sure I won't like 40k at that uber competitive tournament level. I don't like X-Wing at that uber competitive tournament level. But if you can get like a local scene going, or you can get a couple of mates who want to play, it's a fab game. There's nothing wrong with that game. Simon Dave says, I watched that second video recently after getting my new airbrush. It's weird. It seems to have come like, I think it's getting picked up from like Google search and stuff like that. But it's really taken off in the last month or two. It's doing really well. Tony there saying the competitive scene's a bit of a Shark Tank, but as a casual game, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, just what I was saying there, mate. Vijay saying the equity on those cheap 80s homes they all picked up. Vijay says, who knows, I'm hoping for a big property crash. There better not be a big property crash, mate. The boomers have screwed up the Aussie housing market, buying everything up, using their equity on those cheap 80s homes they all picked up. That's happened all over the world, mate. It's all over the world. But I had to save hard to get a house and to get a nice house. I'm still paying a mortgage on it. So, yeah, better not screw it up. What's Luke saying there? Shame, I was hoping Salute would be one of the places I could meet up with you if it ever comes back. I would go to Salute now as more as kind of like a trip to meet people. I definitely would not go to, or I would maybe use it as a business trip to kind of to meet some of the vendors that you never really get a chance to see elsewhere. But as a hobbyist, it will be the last event on my list. It is just, the more recently, it is full of people showing Kickstarters off. It's full of just the same names that you see at every other convention, but there's nothing else to do. It's like an hour and a half shopping trip, and then that's it. But for me to come from Newcastle to London for the day, trains are expensive. It's a long way to go, and it's an expensive trip for a shopping trip. It's different if I'm coming to meet people. Then I would still do it, but then I'd do any convention to meet people as opposed to go for the convention itself, really, mate. James saying those evergreen videos are worth putting the effort into. Things like reviews will often be slow grow. If they're high quality, though, people are more likely to sub. Yeah, and that's what I've kind of found, mate. And I have to I've got to separate the two things, really, and get away from the fact that some videos are the instant hit. Like, for example, the video I did about building the Warcry terrain was designed to hit a market really quickly because it was topical and it was important. People found that information before they kind of got too far. Other videos just they're slow burners and they keep getting views over time. Dirk says, a guy here in Germany had a gaming table for some self-made Nosferatu game, completely in black and white, except for a small corner with a camera crew on a boat, which was in colour. That's awesome, mate. VG saying the toys that made us, yeah, they are, mate. And the movies as well. I like both of those ones. Of course, that's just jumped there. Shoe people, I've just read there as I was reading down that list there. Danger Mouse, Banana Man, Pretty Enough, Trapdoor, Shoe People, Shoe People. The Last Unicorn, I've never heard of that, mate. I remember Count Duckula being good. Yeah, I do, but it was garbage when I watched it back recently. I'll take your word for it, not seen it in a long time. James says, what's the DuckTales one with the crazy robo-duck? My 2-year-old watched a bit of that and was really not into it. DuckTales with the crazy robo-duck. Was it not just DuckTales, mate? Oh, woo! Simon Davis says, any plans to check out the Mythos mini game? A giant crab mini got my attention. I spoke to the marketing person at War Cradle when they sent me out all of this stuff, and I think they were kind of keen to send me some Mythos stuff out if this Wild West Exodus stuff kind of worked out, like, for both of us, if they were happy with what I was doing with it, kind of thing. And I think they were happy to kind of support me with other product if they like my work, kind of thing. So I like the look of it. It's something I would potentially pick up for myself because I do like the look of it. At the minute, I just don't have the time to really pick up another game purely just for me to kind of play it as a hobby at the minute. Wild West Exodus, I'm looking forward to getting into and playing a lot more of. I like the models, I like the rules. I'll still be playing Warcry. I've got my 40k stuff I'm working on. There's a number of different things that I kind of play as a hobby stuff for myself. Like I still play games like sort of that are not on camera and I paint stuff that isn't for kind of for videos and stuff. And eventually I hope to get some of that stuff like on the channel and that, but I'm catching up with a backlog of work at the minute. So yeah, who knows, mate? I hope that they're happy with the work I'm doing with their products. But I'll continue, to be honest. If I didn't like the product, I would say I didn't like the product. Just so happens that I do like them at the minute. Marco says his wife was trying to show kids from USSR in the 80s. There was a big bad wolf smoking cigarettes and running after a rabbit. Definitely not a popular choice today. Scott says, got my son watching Bertha. Oh, wow. Robert Jung's back. Nice to see you, mate. Terrahawks is cool, he says. Pirates of Dark Waters, I don't know that one, mate. Inhumanoids, I don't remember that. Captain Caveman. I was disappointed, Mark, right? Hello, by the way, mate. That I watched Scoob with my little boy recently, which is like a new Scooby-Doo cartoon. And Captain Caveman was in that. But he didn't talk like the old Captain Caveman. He's voiced by Tracy Morgan, who does like 30 Rock. And Captain Caveman with Tracy Morgan's voice, it was a letdown, mate. It was disappointing. Palmsy saying Pigeon Street. There's a show, mate. Johnson, he wants to get his kid into Mask. I used to have all the Mask toys when I was a kid. I used to love Mask. Tony saying Terrahawks was a Jerry Anderson series, I think. Yeah, Zelda was scary as hell, mate. I forget what the little balls were called, the little silver balls, but one of them was kind of voiced by Windsor Davies, wasn't it? Peter Cooman said Avalon Sunset in my go-to as well. Really great colour. Yeah, honestly, I find it. Peter saying the same thing. VJ, speaking of cartoons, that new Necromantic team for Blood Bowl channels. Necromantic. Oh, for a channel Scooby-Doo something chronic. Yeah, I like that new stuff, mate, to be fair. Probably for you, VG, actually. I don't know if you might not be friends with James Hewitt on Facebook, but he shared something today. And he'd done an interview for a Blitz Bowl podcast, and I forget what the podcast's called, but it'll come back to me later. Crushed something. And I listened to that while I was doing some spray priming today, and it was a really good interview, mate. Worth checking out. You will love it because it's essentially about him creating Blitz Bowl and stuff, and why he made certain design choices that he made. Blizzard saying, anyone else watch Herculoids or Thunder the Barbarian? I don't remember either of those, mate. Simon Davis saying Avalon Sunset with Lamenter's yellow glaze makes really nice colour. It does, mate. The problem is you can't buy Lamenter's yellow anymore. I think I've got like one of the last pots in the world here. And it's one of the reasons why I've not started Lamenter's yellow glaze. It is awesome. Unfortunately, yeah, you can't buy it anymore. They've discontinued it. I just got Star Trek, the animated series, for £2. Nice, mate. Super Punkin Man says, man, this has simply devolved into awesome stuff we remember from our childhood, and I love it. Thanks, everyone, for a good nostalgia day. I like these kind of chats. Tiger Ninestein, that's the one, mate, I think it was. Space Sergeant 101. See, it's all coming back now. Didn't they have cubes and ball soldiers? Yeah, they did, mate. David McKay been trying Vallejo still water. I think it's far too hot. Yeah, I think those kind of products really are heat dependent, mate, or temperature dependent. Vijay saying, don't worry, a bust in the house market would only affect you if you were flipping properties. People buy. It doesn't just affect you if you're flipping a property, though. It affects you when you have to renegotiate your mortgage again, because the interest rates are lower if you own a higher proportion of your house. So if the value of your house goes down, then basically your equity diminishes, because you still owe. Let's just say, for argument's sake, your house is worth £200,000 and you have a mortgage for £100,000. If your house is only worth 120 now, instead of 200, you still owe 100,000. That means your equity is now only 20,000 rather than 100,000. So the interest rates go up. So it actually costs me more on my mortgage if housing prices value comes down. Conversely, Luke saying you can come and stay with me, mate. I'll put you in a heartbeat and we can have a BlackJack Arenas road trip. That sounds cool, mate. I like the sound of that. Bully saying the bottle water is $90 in the States. It will still be a good deal, but the Atlanteans aren't exactly my bag. If it was the Valiants and Deceivers, I'd be auto buy. I haven't showed you the ones yet, mate, but I will do. But what was in as well? Hello, Anthony. How are you doing, mate? I've just stopped because it's a bit hot. I'm getting back to it now. We were just having a bit of a chat about kids' TV shows, mate. James is saying the Warcry terrain building. How I found the channel. There you go, mate. That's exactly what I mean. VJ is saying it's more than the 3+ house owning over mortgage property hoarders. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. I did used to own 2 houses at one point, mate. I had one that I rented out. Unfortunately, when I got divorced, mate, that house went to my ex-wife. So yes, that's a whole different stream. Yeah. So, Zingbo, I remember loving Airwolf and the A-Team when I was a kid, but saw some episodes of them as an adult a few years ago, and they were really not great. I used to love Street Hawk. Street Hawk over Airwolf. Street Hawk was like Airwolf but with a motorbike, and I used to love that TV show. I remember having a Street Hawk jumper as a kid. There you go. That's how big a fan I was. But I think all of those kind of shows now don't really hold up to the same way. Let me just zoom that in a little bit more now. I've moved back to this. Charlton and the Wheelies. Hey up, little old lady. Frenella. That was the witch, wasn't it? Frenella the witch. That was a good theme tune as well, speaking of theme tunes. James Bracey and the Resin Minis look very nice. But what? They are very nice, mate. I don't know whether this camera is showing them off to their best potential at the minute, because it's... but when I get these painted up and we get some nice video footage of them for the review, you'll see them a bit closer up. And hopefully my very quick paint jobs on them do them justice. But yeah, they're super crisp minis. Jeffrey Higdon, hello mate, how are you doing? Nice to see you back in. Says really enjoy the channel. I look forward to seeing some gaming demos, tutorials of lesser known games. Yeah, we'll get there, mate. We'll get there. I'm just playing catch up at the minute, getting through the review stuff first. But yeah, we'll get up with some of the tutorial type stuff. It's something I quite enjoy doing. It's a way I find that it's a great way for me to learn to play a game, because if I can teach it, then I know I'll remember a lot of rules, because I have to learn to kind of present them on a video. And you can be sure you do not want to you don't want to do a tutorial video and get the rules wrong. There's nothing worse than that. So it's kind of important to make sure you get the rules right. So those kind of things stick in my head when I'm making those kind of videos. Right, we'll go back to this one now and just do a little bit of shading. I think what I'll do is I'll use a little bit of. I think I'm going to use a bit of contrast white. Now I've painted these legs like a grey colour, but I think I'm going to try and drop a little bit of contrast white. Actually, no, I'm not. Ignore me. I'm going to try and drop a little bit of Nuln Oil just into the recesses. Tony, favourite childhood show movie was HR Puff and Stuff. I remember the name, but I don't really remember the show, if I'm honest. The Roboduck was called Gizmo Duck and he was from DuckTales. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. As I was saying, was it not just DuckTales? Oh, woo! Yeah, podcast is the crush. That's it, mate. I knew I'd kind of got somewhere close. It was a good listen, mate. You'll enjoy it. Steve saying we all forget about the best kiddies TV theme. Bite a Grove. I keep forgetting that was a kiddies TV show, mate. It was so hard hitting. I think of it as a culturally significant drama series. I'm just trying to drop some of that into here just to give that a little bit of depth. Otherwise, it'll look a little bit flat. Simon with Dave saying, Layer Lamentus is hard to get. I'm currently trying to find a replacement before my last pot runs out. Yeah, it's kind of like gold dust, mate, I think. I think loads of people went and bought it up when it was when they announced it was getting discontinued. And I think Peter Payton, Imperial Fist Armies and stuff went, oh, I need loads of it. And went and bought it all up. I think, didn't they discontinue the Avalon sprays as well? You can still buy Avalon Sunset paint, but I think they discontinued the sprays. VG's saying, yeah, all pretty exciting with season 2 coming out. Yeah, I was actually quite disappointed to hear that James isn't involved in season 2, actually. That was a bit of a shame. I was hoping that they would have brought him back as a freelance designer for it, just to kind of tinker the rules and stuff, but it doesn't appear that they have, which is a shame. But yeah, it was an interesting listen, though. It kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to what to what Blitzball actually is, and why it's different, and what's different about, and why they made some of the design choices that they made. It's a bit of an eye opener, really. It's a real kind of deep dive into why games designers choose certain things. Like, as an example, and I'm not spoiling the podcast here for you, but the board for Blitzball is the size it is because that's what size board fits in the box. The box size was kind of set beforehand, so that's what size fits in the box. So that's what size the board has to be. And he said it was one of the first things that they kind of settled on. So the game's rules all worked around the board being that particular size. So I just find all of that kind of stuff quite interesting. I love a bit of industry chat. Right, we'll put a little bit of a wash on the face here just to give a bit of depth to that as well. A bit much there, I think. Right, and we'll do a little bit of edge highlight, I think. 20 saying blah blah blah. VJ saying, okay, I stand corrected. I wasn't aware of that having never been that situation. Yeah, that's basically, mate. That's where it like I've obviously spent years kind of like saving up, and like as I've bought one house and sold one and saved up money and all that kind of stuff, and so I've got equity in the house, which is great if I ever come to sell it, because that means I've got a nice chunk of cash that's sitting in the house. But if the price of the house like plummets, I ain't got no equity in the house then. All them years have been for nothing. Yeah, so I'd quite like them to stay as it is at the minute, mate. But I can appreciate like people getting started. It must be tough for young'uns these days. God knows how my lads are ever going to get on the housing ladder. Right, these are a bit wet. I need to get Fiji says that's a whole different stream. Maybe something for the Discord. If you're really interested, mate. Knight Rider. Oh, we've just been talking about Knight Rider. Knight Rider was an awesome show, but apparently it's not aged very well. But it's been a long time since I saw it, I must admit. Like Saturday sort of tea time shows like Knight Rider, like Airwolf, all those kind of things. They were all awesome shows, like of its time. I remember having loads of A-Team toys when I was a kid. Yeah, awesome times. Happy times, not a care in the world. long before social media and all that kind of stuff. Robert says, painting up some Brothers and Badgers minis, just loving them. He's ordered a few more. I do remember Thunder the Barbarian, but I'm a Bugs and Daffy person. Luke's got 4 minis painted, and I have sweat buckets. It's probably in an hour. I feel like I've been working out again. Honestly, I've got the window open, and you think I just put the heater on. I can feel the heat coming from outside. It probably would have been cooler to close the window and close the curtains and try and keep the heat out. So I very, very rarely kind of edge highlight like this, because I'm pretty garbage at it, if I'm honest. But I think these minis deserve it really, because they've got so many kind of sharp edges. I think they kind of deserve it. And so far, so good. He says, balls in that up there. Street Hawk turned out to be even worse than Airwolf when watched with adult eyes. I can imagine, mate. I don't even want to go back and ruin that childhood memory. I think I'll just keep that one as a rose tinted glasses, mate. The Fall Guy, there's a one now, mate. I used to love the Fall Guy. Super Punker Man says, Andy, your head's blocking the shot. I've got no idea now, mate. That was probably ages ago. I'm just going to jump into the chat now. Jason saying in the 80s and 90s they made toys out of everything. To be honest, mate, what they did in the 80s, the Toys That Made Us is an awesome show to kind of explain that. They basically made those shows to sell the toys. That was the whole point of them. So He-Man cartoon was to sell toys. Like Thundercats was to sell toys. Like Transformers was to sell toys. All of those cartoons were designed as basically like marketing things. And it all got around advertising to children rules, basically. If it was a cartoon, it could be shown on kids' TV, but you couldn't advertise to kids or something like that. There was a reason for it. So yeah, they were all basically designed to sell toys. So it wasn't that the cartoons kind of like were so popular that they decided to sell toys for it. It was more that the cartoons were a byproduct. If they were popular, it was almost a bonus. And what they did was they used those cartoons to basically introduce the next wave of toys and to keep things fresh. And that's how you get like toys for things like the real Ghostbusters and stuff like that. That was about selling toys. I watched a documentary not too long ago as well about Batman, the animated series, and that was really interesting as well. About essentially that kind of thing would never have happened, and it would never happen today. That essentially they basically, I think it was something to do with Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers. They had a big deal with him or something like that, and he basically kind of like backed it. Something like that. I can't remember the full details, so I'm going to go into it now. Nostalgic saying I'll take Andy 10 minutes to put his head back. See, it's a good job I caught up with the chat, isn't it? Scott's saying you need to get a razor on that hair. Is it that bad? Just needs a shave, mate. I've not had a shave for a couple of days. Super Punker Man says, I just watched Demolition Man with my mum. She'd never seen it. Demolition Man is an awesome film. Yeah, sorry for blocking the shot, folks. Bottle says it's 34 degrees C. It's getting hot there, but I'm used to 40 in the summer. Yeah, unfortunately, it is a bit warm here, more than we're used to. But what they're saying as well, Toys That Made Us is excellent. Yeah, it's fab. Awesome bit of background stuff. I love watching documentaries, like listening to them when I'm kind of sitting painting and stuff. It just kind of, there's a big moth just coming through the window and there's now bouncing around my ceiling, dancing between all the different bright studio lights. Awesome. Yes, real Ghostbusters, $6 Million Man. It hit 36 degrees in his living room flat. Oh my God. Batman animated series was awesome. It really was good. Peter says I watch Lego Batman now. I watch that. I watch things like Teen Titans Go with my little boy and stuff. He loves that. I quite like some of those shows. Right. I think that one will. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use grey. We're going to use the Basilicum grey on the base. And essentially what I've just used a ripped up piece of cork and I'm going to make it look like tarmac basically. Batman Beyond as well, that was awesome. Love those shows. Love those shows. Is that? Oh, that's alright, we can just use this one I think. Let me just talk to myself there folks. So using Basilicum grey on here. Just to kind of darken this down, and we'll do some dry brushing and stuff on it later, but we might even do 2 coats of it actually. David says Teen Titans Go is great, though now the night begins to shine is permanently stuck in my head. My little boy is 3, he's like 4 in the end of September. And he was watching recently the Teen Titans Go episode where Starfire basically is like surrounded by cats and Robin turns himself into a cat because he falls in love with her and he basically wants her to kind of to take care of him, and she calls him Mr. Sassy Pants in this cartoon, and my little boy took to calling me Mr. Sassy Pants for a good 2 or 3 days, and when I picked him up from nursery, at the end of the day, like his little nursery teacher brought him to the door, and she went, "Oh, who is it?" And he went, "It's Mr. Sassy Pants." I've never been so embarrassed in all my life. Yeah, good times, good times. It was one of those moments where you think, do I explain why my son is calling me Mr. Sassy Pants? Or do I just smile at the young girl and take my boy away as quickly as possible? But what's his minis are looking good, mate. Smashing through them. They're pretty easy to paint. Actually, do you know what it is, mate? I kind of decided to take any kind of creative influence out of it. I just want them to kind of match the ones on the cards. But yeah, they paint up nice, mate. They paint up nice. The nice clean lines and sort of hard edges make it really easy to kind of pick out the different components. So I'll just put a little bit more on here, and then we'll let that dry and maybe give it a second one. How do the 3 seashells work? I don't know, mate. I spent 15 years working for a toilet roll company. I never wanted to find out. Busey says first cockroach of the summer here, killed. God, I have nightmares about cockroaches. I don't like cockroaches. Right, where's my black? Simon Davis says, Chiefs of the stream, Andy. Time for bed. Good night, everyone. Thanks for popping in, mate. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peter says, never been embarrassed more. So you like dancing for us? That's not embarrassing. Me dancing for the entire nation on a live stream. I'm all right with that. Oh. Jason said, I always imagine scooping toilet water and splashing with 2, scooping with the other one. It could be more of a scraping action, couldn't it? That's the worry. But what's the insane process is painting mini tanks. I've never painted tanks ever. I've never done any kind of stuff like that before, so maybe maybe there's a one to look forward to at some point in the future. But yeah, this I'm enjoying painting these. It's just something a bit different. I've not really painted kind of anything. I would say anything of this scale, but I mean, for all they're based on 8mm, they're obviously bigger because of the big things. But just generally, like sort of everything's always your kind of your usual sci-fi fantasy stuff. It's nice to paint something that's kind of outside my wheelhouse. But yeah, so far so good as well. Loving the rules. Look forward to getting the review done as soon as I get these painted. And I'm also looking at something, folks, that could be a bit of a game changer when it comes to battle report type videos. Like, you know, all of the problems I was saying before about handheld cameras, either doing it with a handheld one or trying to film it between like 5 or 6 different camera angles and remembering to switch between them and all that kind of stuff that takes you out of the immersion if you're the one playing the game. I might have found a solution. I don't want to say too much about it because it could be absolutely awful. But yeah, it's something I'm considering giving a try to. Suitor Punk Man said, I remember as a 3-year-old, my parents dressed me in a sailor suit and asked me if I think I look nice. I responded with, I look ridiculous. I was once page boy for a cousin's wedding, and I must have only been 3 or 4, I think. And they made me kind of dress in this weird, like, little kind of, you know, like the kind of like an old-fashioned kind of like posh child with those kind of like 3/4 trousers and the socks pulled up high and stuff. Like, and basically I got like obviously got ready on the morning of the wedding. I hadn't seen these clothes before. I must have done at some point, but not realised what they were. And like come to put them on, and I basically just refused to wear them. I like basically just said, no, I'm not wearing this. I look like a girl. And I kind of refused to wear them, and it took some serious kind of talking me down, even as a kid. Like, you can imagine on somebody's wedding day going, oh, God, like, all I need is for this kid to kind of ruin it all. Yeah. Even then, I had I had standards when it come to clothes. VG said, I can just imagine Andy dressed up with like the kids and the Sound of Music. You're not far off, mate. It was more like Little Lord Fauntleroy, to be fair, mate. Peter says, a GoPro strapped to your head, mate. No, it's not a GoPro strapped to your head, mate. But it's you're barking up the right tree, mate. You're not far off the idea. But it was just some kit that I saw that might make it just it might just kind of give me a little bit of an edge, give me that something different that other channels don't do. So it's a potential. Right. We'll finish off. Do a bit more on this one now, I think. Flies get on my absolute tits, I'll be honest. We've been getting loads of flies at the minute with the heat. VG says, how are you enjoying the Red Grass Games handle, Andy? Still waiting for mine to arrive. I'm loving it, mate. I was a big fan of the original one, even more so with the new one. Just having everything kind of ready to go and not having to handle the mini like as I switch between using the handles. If they hadn't brought these ones out, I would have quite happily bought multiples of the Red Grass handles, but they're just expensive really to buy lots of them. They're a great tool, but having like 10 of them like lined up or something gets quite expensive. This is the perfect compromise, really. Luke's saying, is it a DJI Osmo Pocket? It's not, mate. No, I have seen them actually. They're pretty good. I know somebody that films a lot of their videos with a DJI Osmo Pocket. They're not cheap though, mate, are they? They're like 300 odd quid. You're getting into the realms of buying a decent camera at that stage. But if I'm going to order one and do some tests with it, and if it looks all right, it could be a potential game changer. And I don't want to say what it is because somebody might get there before me and then I'll lose my edge. But yeah, it potentially it could be awesome. It could be absolute tosh as well though, and that's what we'll need to find out. Busey said, nobody told me about roaches when I moved to Spain. It's one of the things I don't really like going on holiday, like a miserable. Just the bugs and stuff are completely different. VG saying, I've got the DJI Osmo Pocket. It's great for filming out and about. Yeah, they're tiny, aren't they? I think am I right in thinking though they've got a tiny little screen? If you want to have them on your phone, haven't you got to buy something extra, or am I thinking of something different for that? Luke saying, I have a DJI Osmo Mobile 2. You love it for filming stuff on family days out. Yeah, I've got the Mobile 3, mate. I've done a few painting videos with it. It's awesome for the tracking software, because what you can do is I just put it like here where my chest is, pick the piece out that I wanted to focus, and then as I'm painting it, it's constantly tracking it. If you see the video I did where I painted the Warcry terrain, I used it on that, and it tracks really, really well. I was quite impressed with it. I bought it more for when I'm kind of out and about at shows and stuff like that, and conventions. But it's a great piece of kit. There's some amazing technology now, and price-wise, it's really come down. I think I paid in fact, I paid £70, I think it was, for my Mobile 3, because there was some offer, like very.co.uk in the UK had an offer one where, as a new customer, you saved like £30 or something. So I signed up purely just to get the 30 quid off. So yeah, it was good value. David Moffat says, new technique you see, rubs hands together nefariously. Yeah, if it works out okay, what I'll probably do is I'll do one video using it, and see what people think of it. And if it's all right, I'll probably do a video about the product itself, because I honestly could be completely wrong, but I haven't seen anybody else talking about them or using them. So yeah, could be interesting, folks. Could be interesting. VGC, they do have a tiny screen, but they have a changeable plug that can dock with all modern phones. Yeah, I think the problem was, mate, is it the plug that plugs in is what's quite expensive. I think that's an extra bit. Peter saying we're actually in the best part of the world for bugs and the like. We got lots, but they ain't big. I think that's the same for the UK. Yeah, pretty much, mate. VG saying I've recently got a Mavic Mini drone, which is awesome. Been taking the little bloke down the park, learn to fly. Nice, mate. Super Pumpkin Man says scorpions are one of my favourite bugs. Well, yeah, we don't get a lot of them, mate. Luke saying sorry, it mounts on your phone as it is, but you can buy a better mount with added controls. VG saying I let him have a go and the kids in the park get jealous. But was supposed to get into its first convention this year, but COVID cancelled it. It's penciled in again for October. Yeah, fingers crossed, mate, that you can start to get it in front of people. That's always the way, isn't it? Like any game that revolves around just getting it in front of people. Basically, I had the same conversation with the guy from the Pirates of the Dread Seas as well, and relying upon conventions and stuff is one way that you can get in front of people. And you might only get to do, say, like 10 demos in that day, and you might think like, well, you know, is there any value in that? But what you don't see is the after effects of those 10 people tell 10 of their mates, or those 10 people post online about it, and other people see it, and they're worth their weight in gold, really, being able to get in front of gamers, let people physically see the minis with their own eyes. Everybody wants to take pictures now when they go to conventions and stuff. So it's just showing a presence, showing you that you're a real person, and people can kind of see the game. It makes a big difference. Lord Maiden says, hello, I'm just walking home after my game at my club. How did you get on, mate? How was it? David Moffat says, I always want to make better bat reps. Hopefully this pans out. To be honest, mate, it's one of the reasons I've never really gone massively into bat reps, is because I just don't feel I can add much different to what's already out there. So if I can, with what I'm thinking, then it's all sounding really cryptic now, isn't it? And we'll see how it goes. Super Pumpkin Man says, I really need to show my friends Bot Wars. Yes, mate, you should do. Scott said, anyone got any Death World Forest terrain they want to part with? It was the one set I never liked, mate, if I'm honest. And Bot Wars saying, yeah, it's the walk past, I think it's as well, because it's an actual finished product, not a concept. That's exactly it, mate. People can talk about stuff online till they're blue in the face, but physically getting your hands on it, or physically seeing the finished product, you know, like physically seeing it speaks 1,000 words kind of thing. Let's see what colour we're going to do. Aegis, we're going to go with a green colour, I think. Do I go with a... Yeah, let's go with a Death Guard green, I think. Scott saying your head's in the way again. You do realise, mate, don't you? By the time I read that, I've already moved. Yeah, it's going to happen, buddy. Just because I'm not a professional. And the reason is because I have the camera slightly further back, so I don't have it straight down. Because if I had it straight down, I'd have to hold. You would see me painting like that, basically, which is a funny shot. So I've got it angled, so when I'm painting here, the camera is just above my head, kind of pointing down as well. So at least you get a decent shot. But what it means is if I lean forward, you're going to get a top of my head every now and again. But it doesn't happen very often. Lord Maiden says, I won my game of War Machine, had a cracking third round where I took everything out except the Warlock. Then they nearly killed mine, survived. What faction do you play, mate? I used to play a bit of Cricks when I was playing. And I used to play Trollbloods for Hordes. That was my main faction. I used to kind of seriously collect Trollbloods. But Mark was saying the lines on the tarmac will need to be very thin to keep the scale. Yeah, I kind of thought that, mate. They will need to be, I think. But so be it. So be it. Nothing wrong with that. James saying, going to do some white lines on the tarmac like it's standing on a big motorway in a car park. Yeah, that's kind of the idea, mate, basically. Is that it'll be just a bit of broken up motorway or something like that. I mean, I might even kind of add a little bit of kind of little kind of curve or something like that, or if I can get some kind of like to scale kind of cars or anything like that, even just some bits of kind of rubbish, or see if I can get something like some bits of 3D printed kind of terrain type stuff to put on, just to kind of almost like ground the scale in some kind of reality, if you like. That might be quite nice. What was in camera parrot on shoulder? Do you know what it is, mate? Like some kind of drone, just like flying around the board, getting those nice shots in. That'll be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I kind of look at now, technology-wise, is really about trying to just for ease of use, really, to make things more simple. Because like a lot of the best, like some of the channels that do the battle reports that I absolutely love. And whilst I don't watch a lot of battle reports, I watch some just for their presentation and for their quality, and to kind of like learn new tricks myself. Some of the best ones are fantastic. However, they've got like a team of 6 people doing it. Like you can see there's 2 people playing. There's somebody different doing the commentary kind of thing on them. Somebody else is wandering around the table, like with a mobile camera. They've got like 3 or 4 cameras set up that they keep switching between. Like there's a lot of production value in it, but there's also a lot of people involved in it. And I do this by myself. Like if I get any battle report stuff, I'll be just getting a mate round. I'll be getting one of you lot round or something like that. Somebody just to come and play the game with me. And essentially what I need to do is to make that as simple as possible, because battle reports, if you like keep resetting the camera up for every kind of like action of the move to make it look better, those games start losing fun really quickly. And if you're just like somebody that wants to come around and play a game with me, it's not a fun experience. Like stopping, like so, and then going like, so what are you going to do here? Explain me what you're going to do. Right, okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll set the camera up in this angle so I know what it is. That becomes less. It might look interesting to watch, but it's not a fun game to play. And that kind of stuff is exactly what will kind of burn me out over like a long time. That'll be the stuff that makes me just think, oh, I can't be bothered to do battle reports. So it needs to be easy to do, and it needs to be fun. Because if it's not fun, really I'm wasting my time. There's a million things I'd rather make videos about that is fun. So that's why I'm always kind of looking for better ways to do stuff and to bring something different as well. Superpunk Man said, I think you need an over-the-shoulder camera position. The problem is, mate, if I do it over the shoulder, I've tried it before. I just keep leaning into it. I move around a lot. So I just keep it. It also means as well as the background needs to be different. So if I have it over my shoulder, they're coming over here to where I'm painting, the background needs to be different. Otherwise, you'll see all the crap lying about. You'll see the kind of the screens in the background and stuff. It's different if you're painting like that for a video, because 90% of the stuff I've got on the table that you wouldn't have if you were painting for a video. So yeah, all these little things. Low being said, I play Protector of Meneth, but I have Minions and Chris. I think Protector of Meneth were the first models I ever bought. I didn't do anything with them, but well, I painted them, but I never did play them. Yeah, I think they were the first minis I ever bought. Those metal starter sets that they used to do. And then when I bought the Crix one, I think they'd moved to plastic by then. But yeah, nice stuff that. Steve said, night all, got work in the morning. Take care, mate. Thanks again for coming in. Always good to see you. Thank you very much. Tony's having a chat. James saying, stop being so tight, Scott. That's got Scott's asking for discount codes. So Punkin Man said, I think you need an over-the-shoulder camera. That might be work better. No, to be fair, mate, this is another thing I was talking about before, how I keep moving things around, so I don't always get it back to the same spot every time. Sometimes, some streams, it'll end up catching the top of my head. Some streams it won't. And it's another reason why I'd like to have a live stream area set up permanently, so I don't have to keep moving stuff around. Jim's basing, how big are these robots? Epic scale. So they're based in like a 6mm world. So if you can imagine, if a human was 6mm tall, these would be the size of the robots. The bigger one I measured before was about 50mm. Let me just get that out and I'll show you. So this big one here, from the top of the, again the camera shot here. So from the top of the base, is about 50mm tall. That's on a 50mm base. The one I'm painting at the moment is the smallest of the ones in this particular set, and he is about 28-30mm. So they're still a decent size to paint, even though they're set in a universe that is a 6mm scale. Scott's in his wallet is screaming. Luke said, when I'm back working properly, I think I'll be getting one. I think we're talking about something else there. Scott's in too much 40k. Luke said, I have a board game night on Friday. I'm not decided what to play yet. I think some nice lighter to mid-weight games that anyone can enjoy. I always find, oops, I always find board game nights is like one of those. Do you spend the time to learn something new, or do you just end up going back to playing the kind of old favourites that everybody knows the rules to, because it's actually more about the fun of everyone having a game together, as opposed to always playing the latest stuff. Like, I find me and my wife, like, whilst I like the idea of buying like a new board game, something new to play, like, I'm gonna have fun playing it. It doesn't matter what it is. So we might as well play something that we both know how to play, so we're not learning the game from scratch every single time. What did I do with that black? There it is. I think I used a different colour on that one, didn't I? Clank, yeah, it's not a bad choice, mate. Mark was saying, good night, everyone. Good night, Marco. Bot was saying, plus hours in editing. Honestly, mate, I don't think people necessarily realise just how many hours go into editing go into editing gameplay videos. It is just, and the problem is as well is when you forgot to take a token off for damage, so somebody has an extra action, or you see the bit where basically I don't know, somebody's measured wrong, or like they've read the wrong stat, or like that's all the stuff that you kind of see, and you instantly start thinking, oh no, I'm going to get like a load of people just telling me that it's wrong, and I've done this wrong and that's wrong, and it can be quite daunting actually, especially when like I can do like a video like this, and essentially it's like it might take me like half an hour to get set up and stuff like that. For all I've got to come up with a topic and I've got to get things kind of set up and do some research and all that kind of stuff. That aside, essentially a live stream, I can just kind of switch it on, switch it off at the end, and it's kind of done and dusted. I haven't got to upload it, I haven't got to edit it, I haven't got to kind of do anything fancy. It can become really, it can become really like lazy almost just to go. I'll just do a quick live stream. I don't even have to kind of do any prep really in the grand scheme of things. I do a prep for my live streams because I like to kind of be informed. I don't want to be guessing at stuff. I hate watching videos where people they're just trying to get those clicks as quick as they can. So they're commenting about something that they've read on the news, like in the tabletop news, but they don't really understand it and they don't know the background about it and they don't really know why. They don't really know why it's big news. They just know it's big news and they want some of the clicks off it. Those kind of stuff bug me. So yeah, of course I do like prep and stuff, but you kind of almost have to use your time either on the stuff that you love doing, because then it's always worthwhile, or the stuff that's going to be the most beneficial. And hopefully what you can do is you find out that the stuff you love doing is also the stuff that's most beneficial, and that's when it really kind of like clicks. So a punk man saying yes, editing is a nightmare. Super Punk Man says, Andy, you have a few splatter marks on your camera. They're not on my camera, mate. They're on the paper here. Look, it's just I've got a kind of sheet of like paper printed off. They're just on here. There, look. If I take that away, you talking about like things like that? No, it's just it's on the paper, mate. Don't worry about the camera. Bloggy saying, what green is that? That was Death Guard green, mate. But was saying, yeah, we're just doing overhead and then play as normal. Yeah, I think that the only problem with that sometimes is that if it's a bigger scale game, if the board space is too big, you almost lose the visual aspect. So your camera needs to be so high to get like a 6x4 board in. Like there's some channels do great battle reports, but it must take them a day to film. They're constantly changing cameras around to show the next part. So if people don't want to edit and focus on production, feel free to hit me up. Good rates, plus I'll throw in some motion graphics. The problem is, mate, right, and that's a great offer. The problem is there's no money in making videos. So nobody is earning any money to pay an editor. That's the problem. Right, this one should be kind of like a grey colour, but I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to go with a grey contrast paint and I'm going to give it a light dry brush, I think. Dirk saying you just need something to bang your head against to tell you that you're leaning too far in. It's not a bad idea actually, even just like a piece of kind of like stick or something down there might not be a bad shout. Luke says you're smashing these out tonight. Good work. Yeah, I'm enjoying them, mate. They're nice minis. It's easy to smash through them when you're enjoying them. I'll tell you what, before I paint this one, I'll very quickly show you some of the other stuff that's in the starter set as well. So there is, I can't remember the names because the cards are out the way there, but there's these ones as well. One of the kind of bigger box ones. Again, really nicely detailed, kind of rockets on the arms and stuff. I like that one. There is then, if I can find, see the big one. There he is. There's another one. So that one had the wings up. This one's got the wings down, so you can kind of tell them two apart. Quite nice as well. Nice areas where you can do a little bit of kind of gradient, kind of shading. Nice. These would be nice with an airbrush as well. I think you get some nice kind of colours with an airbrush. I would have probably done them with an airbrush if I wasn't painting them on a stream, if I'm honest. That one's quite nice. You've got these guys as well. So there's whoops, there's a couple of dudes here as well. Nice kind of action poses. Pretty cool. And then the last couple as well. So there's a few more models in the other set. This one with a shield. Yeah, so nice and sharp. Nice minis. Nice minis. Right, let's get some grey on this one. VG saying Blitzball is a perfect board game for board game night. It is if you got it, mate. Are you on the payroll for Blitzball? A GW subbing you, mate. So was it you that was posting that they're starting to send out the review copies now? People starting to get their hands on season 2. Yeah, that podcast I listened to today, mate, it definitely made me want to check it out anyway. As if you hadn't already, but just the talk, like the way James sees Blood Bowl, about it being it can be a negative experience because it's punishing, basically. It can punish you for no good reason, basically, just through random dice. Where Blitzball was more about, you can pretty much do what you want to do, but there's just less. There's less things. There's less sort of, you can do it less times if you like. So it was just an interesting chat, which I found really interesting. Super Pumpkin Man said, I once tried to shoot a hobby video where you only saw my forearms and hands, and the camera was level to my collarbone, and reaching around the camera became so annoying I never finished filming. Yeah, my initial painting videos when I first started out doing them was literally kind of me sitting with a camera in front of my chest and my arms around it and trying to paint it while looking at the camera and trying to keep it in the centre of the screen and all those kind of things. It's an absolute nightmare. Having space and equipment definitely helps. Like the guys, people like Miniac and stuff who do those proper, like, really professional painting videos, they've got dedicated spaces. Like their stuff's like set up. If you see the video that Miniac did about when he kind of did his studio, he's got like a whole kind of like sort of rig above his head of things kind of clamped to it and stuff. And it's a really interesting video to kind of see how he set it up. But then he's not doing gameplay videos. He's not doing unboxings. He's got like screens in front of him which are kind of like showing exactly what's on the camera to make sure he's got everything in shot. And bloody moth's back again, banging its head against the softbox on my lights. So it's actually come out pretty good. That I was gonna dry brush this one, but actually it's not been too bad. I think I might just highlight it in a few places. That's contrast for you folks. We'll use the black on the gun. That moth is huge. Peter says, board game night with the kids, Uno or Labyrinth? I like a game of Uno, mate. Busey saying, a customer told us once that he turned on the ceiling fan while in bed, said cockroaches were flying out and landing on his chest. Insane. I still have nightmares. I won't even tell you my cockroach story, mate, and why I absolutely hate them. It still haunts me to this day, mate. But it was awful. And if I tell you, it will haunt you too. And that's why I'm not going to tell you about it. Because it scares the crap out of me. Scott's saying I might... Oh, hang on. Just score. I might have to sneak a bot war starter in without letting the wife know. Watching you paint these is making me want the game. That's good, mate. Well, it's not good you're trying to sneak them past the wife, but it's good that seeing me paint these, mate, is giving you a good feeling about the product anyway. That's the point of these kind of painting streams, really, as well. It's like, I could quite happily sit here and paint my Space Marines, for example, but you all know what they're like. I ain't kind of like bringing anything to your attention. I ain't letting you know about different stuff out in the hobby if I'm just sitting painting my Marines. This is just about kind of showing the diverse range of stuff that's out there, really. VJ Chatting there. Tony saying he's hitting the hair. He's got an early start. 99. Good night, mate. Where else are we at? Tony saying I was trying to wipe that splash mark off my laptop screen. Sorry, mate. No, it's just mine, mate. It's just my stuff. Don't worry about it. However, everybody's got a lovely clean laptop screen now. Right, that's that bit done. Luke's saying he's intrigued with my thing that I want to try out. Yeah, it's kind of like, it could either be the best thing ever or it could be an absolute disaster, but I can always take it back if I don't want to do it. David saying I need to start a paid VJ to edit my videos, Patreon. I actually really enjoy editing. It's part of the process that I enjoy as well. I enjoy the whole thing. I love making the video. I love scripting the video. I love the whole process. The only time I don't enjoy is generally is editing battle reports when they are when I know the video is going to last like 40 minutes, an hour, and I know I'm having to keep switching between cameras, and I know that all I'm doing is going through and just cutting out the gaps where we have to refer to a rule, or where somebody makes a mistake and we do a take back or something like that. That I don't find that very kind of like creatively interesting. It feels just like kind of busy work. Really, it feels like manual labor at that point. And like I've said many times, I don't really watch battle reports. So it's kind of, unless it's a new game that I'm really interested in, or because a lot of the times when I'm actually just playing, if I'm playing, it's different if I'm doing something as a tutorial to kind of say, this is a new game, this is how the rules work, a bit of a playthrough that way. But if I'm just playing a game with a mate, I'd rather just play a game with a mate, that's the thing. Cool. VG says some of the big channels are, but they often have someone in-house by the time they get that big. I've always been a hustler, so I figured I'd post it anyway. Yeah, the bigger ones like Beasts of War, Mini War Game, and all those kind of folks. Yeah, they earn enough money. Like they earn enough money that it's a team of people. People like the Dice Tower and stuff have people that edit the videos. It's different when you're bigger, but yeah, when you're my size, mate, it'll be a long time before I'm bringing stuff in. That's for sure. I'm not even paying myself a wage yet, to be fair. Right, this one is quite kind of. I might actually try the white contrast paint on this as a base, and then kind of lighten it up from that point. Let's see how that looks. As you can see on the card here, it's very much more kind of 80s kind of pinky funky colours. So I might just, in fact, you know what, I'm not even going to put the white on. I'm just going to do the colours and see if I can brighten it up. So you just use some nice bright blue and pink. I think we'll go with Temple Guard blue. Jeffrey saying, I can imagine that editing is a pain, but I think people search for certain games to watch tutorials, demos, and playthrough videos. Yeah, I think they do, but do you know what you'll find? And I've seen this when you see the statistics in the end. People don't watch it all. People skim watch them. People just, the only time people watch them all is when they're on in the background and the people are not really paying that much attention, and then that doesn't make you feel very good about putting all that effort in when they've not really watched it. I think generally people are looking for a battle report to see how a game plays, and I'm all right with doing that kind of that tutorial type videos. I'm okay with that. Right, let's just get some bright colours on this one. Some blues and some pinks. But War saying, actually, But War was on discount last month. In the future, I'll talk to Andy about something through BlackJack Legacy. That would be cool, mate. That would be cool. But yeah, we'll maybe do something around the review timer. So should be getting that done soon. I'm actually going to have a few days away with the family in a couple of weeks' time. Bit of a last minute decision that we just booked today. So there'll be a couple of live streams that won't happen that week because I won't be anywhere where I can do a live stream. But what I'm going to try and do is graph my bollocks off in the background and fill those gaps with some normal videos. So you'll still get a few videos that week as well. But it means I can have a little break with the family. So I think I'm ready to kind of wind down a little bit, just for a couple of days. I would have done the live streams from where I am, but or where I'll be, I should say. But yeah, the Wi-Fi is not going to be good enough. Otherwise, I'd have just done something like basic just from my laptop or something. But yeah, that's not gonna work. So I'll have to have a few days off. But I'll give you all the details when it gets a bit closer to that one. Jeffrey said, I think that's how I found this channel. I was looking at Warcry videos, then watched more of your content and got hooked on the channel. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I mean, my ethos really about this channel has always been about it. I will cover the stuff that I'm interested in. I won't do stuff just because it's popular. I might do stuff because if it's popular and I like it. Like Warcry was one of those things. But I'm not going to just do stuff because it's popular, just because I know it'll get clicks. So you'll always get a mixture of stuff on here. It doesn't help me grow, but it keeps me interested, and it just gives me a bit of a niche, a bit different, something that you don't get on other channels. So hopefully that keeps you folks watching. Tell your friends about it. If there's any of those games that you want to see on this channel, something that you think deserves a bit of love and maybe you don't see any videos on it, like hit me up or hit the companies up and tell them to get in touch. I'm always open to looking at new stuff. Plenty on my plate at the minute, but you've always got to kind of work in advance. If I wait until I've got time to make new stuff and then start asking people if they want me to cover any of their games, then I'm too late. Then I've got a gap. So yeah, that's how I have to do it. That bloody moth back again. It keeps banging itself against my studio lights. Right, that's a nice bright blue. Let's get a bright pink in there. We'll go pink horror. No, I don't think we'll go pink horror. Why have I got two pink horrors? That's random. Screamer pink. Yeah, we'll go Screamer pink, I think. It's a bit more purpley, but we can always highlight with a bit of pink horror, I think. But usually I pick up a bit of work from channels that are on the small side, from people that have some available scratch to throw at it. I think it's if time is your limiting factor that is stopping you grow, it is worth spending money to give you more time. Like, take something off your plate. Like, for example, I couldn't give up the making the videos to somebody else, for example, because then it's not my channel anymore. But if there's something that you wouldn't notice, like the editing, then that would be money well spent if time was my limiting factor. Like, as it is at the minute, I've just started doing this full time. I'm still getting used to kind of spending time in the right areas. And at the minute, it wouldn't help me out. But I think there'll come a point in the future where it might be the right thing to do. Like, if battle reports really took off, maybe paying somebody to edit my battle report might actually be well worth the money. Trying to teach my kids to edit battle reports so they can do it as a part-time job. a route as well, that kind of stuff. But yeah, future stuff that I think I'm well I'm well away from that at the moment. I was listening to a channel the other day who basically wasn't any money he was earning, he was spending on somebody doing his editing, but thought it was worthwhile to free him up to make more content, because that was the bit that would eventually kind of skyrocket him on. That was the best way to do it. But you're saying, especially if it's a second channel and they can see value in editing and can bring the funds from the first channel. Yeah, definitely. I can see that. I think in our niche, I think it's when a company gets, well, when it stops being a one-man band and they start being like a business, like a company type thing. I think at that point it starts to make sense, because then, like, the limiting factor is how much content you can actually get out there. Like people like Beasts of War, who release 2 or 3 videos a day. Like, there's no way that the same guy's videoing something and then like editing it and then uploading it and then answering comments and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't. It's just not possible to do it that way. But yeah, it will be a nice problem to have, mate, at some point in the future. It will be a nice problem. Scott saying they look fantastic. Yeah, they're quite nice, mate. They're quite nice. Anthony, they're saying, yep, hence why I prefer to keep it real, camera overhead and just play. Basically, warts and all, totally honest. Yeah, it's they definitely have their place, mate. I think it's just it depends upon what you're doing. Like, if you were going to do something like a 40k battle report, you've got a very competitive like audience. Like, you've got other channels that are doing like really high quality stuff. So as long as you can keep them entertaining, as long as you can add something to it that nobody else is doing, then I think it doesn't really matter about your camera work so much. As long as you can kind of keep it entertaining and people want to watch it, then it's worthwhile doing it. You've really got to want to do it, because they never get enough views versus the time you put into them. So it has to be something you want to do. I think I'm going to keep that relatively simple. We'll do the black wheels and we'll keep that one looking pretty simple, I think. And that's me actually painted pretty much the entire stuff. It'll need some tidying up tomorrow with some bits and pieces, but that ain't looking bad. Vijay saying, yep, that was me posting about review copies, and no, I wish I was getting paid to hype it. I do it for free, as it's pretty much my favourite game all around right now. That's cool, mate. I love a bit of passion, mate. I love it when somebody sings the praises of the game that they love. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's what hobby should be. Hobby should be about passion. When you stop being passionate about it, maybe it's not your hobby anymore. Cracking on with these. Nice little wheels there on the cuffs. Colouring the backs of them ones as well. David saying, alright, when I reach 1,000 subscribers, it's a deal. That's it, mate. The first 1,000 subscribers is the hardest, mate, because it's really about getting your name out there and getting people to watch your stuff. Once you kind of hit 1,000 subscribers, it kind of becomes irrelevant after that. It doesn't really matter, because it doesn't really change a lot. That's the thing. I think everybody wants to grow subscribers and numbers and things, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really make that much difference. Subscriber numbers don't mean views. So right, I'm going to put that on the base. This is when the stream finishes. Don't shut down the camera. I want to see you hunt that moth. That's the Patreon stream. Me going moth hunting. Where are we up to there? Jeffrey Higdon says, the main reason I became a Patreon is because you don't focus on the most popular games. You spread the hobby love. Thank you, mate, and it's hugely appreciated. I just need to hope long term there are enough people feel the same way, mate. So far is so good. I'm really pleased with the progress, but like any business, it needs to get to a point where it's sustainable, and then I can kind of stop worrying about that side of it. Really, I'm not worrying, if you know what I mean. But that's because I'm only really new at it. If I was still at this number of kind of Patreons and this level of income in say 12 months' time, I might feel different about it. But at this point, I'm absolutely blown away by it, and I'm really happy with the progress. Yeah. Palmsy's saying his internet's been very slow, stop starting, it's killing me. I'm going to sign off. Have a great rest of the week. Take care, buddy. Nice to see you. Super Punk Man says it is going to suck when I end up going back to work regularly, since I end up missing the live stream. At some point, mate, I do want to try and put a live stream in for a different time zone as well. I'm conscious I do get a lot of people from different parts of the world. The problem is, I think to catch some of those people, I'd end up like streaming at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. VJ says, well, if the child labour thing doesn't work out, feel free to give me a shout. Okay, mate, I will do. Thank you. David says, those bat reps would probably have some juicy Andy gossip in the middle. Yes, you probably just get me shouting and swearing, going, well, that's not how you do it. I've got to refilm all that again. Mike G, good evening, Mike G. So I'm going to have some lunch with his sister tomorrow. She's in this part of the country visiting her boyfriend's family in New London, Iowa. So feeling close to you chaps right now. Nice one, mate. How are you doing, Mike, anyway? How's things? Dirk says, chatting with Greg Cherry. I didn't see Greg Cherry's name, but hello, Greg Cherry. Oh, there you are. New to 40k, what's the minimum to pay for a small beginner game? You're probably talking, mate, about what they call 25 power level. So, like a start collecting box. You'll not be far off a start collecting box to get like a nice small game in. There's not really a minimum. It's just that you need enough stuff to make it interesting. So I would say if you find the faction that you like and you pick up a start collecting box, that's probably going to get you enough to have a small game and at least get the feel for the game. Those new starter boxes as well that have just come out this weekend, they're pretty good value as well. And of course you can play a kind of like a small intro game with whatever's in that box. So that's also another option of an entry point in as well. VGC, I do find it odd the amount of people that moan about rules oversights and small errors in back reps. I mean, they don't play the game perfectly. Do you know what it is, mate? Nobody plays the game perfectly. It's just that most people don't have a camera recording the whole game to then like watch it back. It's one of the things I find quite difficult about the amount of people that's being pulled up for cheating, apparently, in finals of tournaments. When people have watched it back on camera, like after the event, like later on, at the end, at that time, I'm sure some people do cheat, but at that given time, I'm sure people aren't intentionally generally aren't intentionally cheating. It's probably just the fact that they made a mistake and it was as simple as that. But people like to kind of go back and like count things up, and it's like VAR in football. It's easy to kind of to go back and assess things like at your leisure. It's very difficult to kind of to just take it into account at the actual time. And I think it's the same thing with back reps. People love nothing better than to kind of point out the fact that, oh, you made a mistake, or you should have done this. This is the one I get sometimes is, oh, at like 43 minutes, 26 seconds, you should have done this. And it's like, I didn't. I'm just playing for a bit of fun, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's quite. It's another reason why battle reports are another one of them things where you just think, my God, like I have to deal with the comments as well. I'm quite fortunate. I don't really get any kind of anything too nasty. I get the odd comment and stuff like that I just delete or I block them so they can't comment again. But it's rare in grand scheme of things. So, folks, other than a bit of tidy up that they need, that's them done. I will do a little bit of shading on a couple of them tomorrow, I think, when they're all properly dry. I'll kind of show you where we're up to. So this is, zoom out a touch so I can get a bit more on the screen. So we've done this one, and we've done this one. That's those two. I've painted 5 models tonight, folks. That's not bad going. Oops, dropping them. Painted those two. This one's just had contrast paint over it, so I'm going to let that one dry properly, and then I'm going to go in with like a light grey and pick out some of the joins in the armour and stuff. So that one looks quite basic at the minute, but it's not quite finished. And then we've done this little fella as well. This little fella needs a little bit of, it's literally just been painted all over. It needs a little bit of sort of definition in the joins as well. And we'll do a bit more white on the face. But otherwise, oh, and his little arms just needs a touch of glue on there as well, just to bring that gun back to his wrist. But otherwise, all good. All good. Main screen. So, how are we doing for time? 11:15. That's not bad going, is it? Let's have a look and see what we've got. Lord Maiden saying that looks good. Another system BlackJack Legacy got me into. James Brace, I think there's an easy lower impact way to do a battle report. You do an intro, play the game and take some pics and then have a chat about it after each round. I find that just taking pictures, for me, kind of, it look like people like to see dice rolls. It's the one thing that you get comments on more than anything else. Oh, I want to see the dice rolls. I want to see what people are doing. If you miss the movement stuff, I want to see the movement. I want to see what people are doing. The problem is, it doesn't matter which way you do it. There's always somebody kind of comments and says they'd rather see something else. Greg saying, yeah, we're using powers. We don't know much about points and just playing casual narratives. That's kind of where I'll be, mate. I'm starting at like 25 power, which is kind of a good entry point, I think. So yeah, anything around that's not too bad. James saying, I've seen a lot of battle reports where they show every single dice roll, which in 40k is interminable. People ask for that, mate. That's the problem. David Mackay says, right, suppose I call it a night. Catch you later. See you later, buddy. Luke's off as well. Got to go. Have a good one, folks. Michael, good evening, Michael. How you doing, mate? It's just be glad you didn't focus on Guild Ball. Nah, it's a shame. It's a shame to see it go, mate, to be fair. Lord Maiden says, I agree. Love your channel and videos because of the different games. I did Patreon as I wanted to give back to someone who helps with the community and great topics. Thank you, mate. That's hugely appreciated. Crabby's in as well. Good evening, Crabby. How you doing, mate? Yoakum says, time to get some sleep. Good night. James says, you could probably do 2 squads of 10 Premier as a captain or some sort. Maybe a unique squad like Hellblasters. Yeah, but that's not probably too far off 25 points, mate. Few people chatting about us forwards. Vijay says the amount of shit the mini wargaming guys cop for it is bloody ridiculous. I agree, mate. Yeah, it's you see it if you watch any battle report channels and then read the comments, especially the bigger ones. What do you call it? Guerrilla Miniature Games, exactly the same. Ash gets it as well. James Brace is a good mini game, tells a fun story, and you can relay that in a video, I think, without going deep into rules, dice rolls. Easy for me to say though. Yeah, I don't disagree. The problem is it becomes stop-start. There's something, as soon as you start to try and do something that's not just record the game, something gets lost because it's stop-start. What I want to see in a game, when I'm filming it anyway, is I want to see the 2 players having fun. The game's almost secondary. I want to see the entertainment from the 2 people enjoying the game. And however you show that is the right way, basically. Crowley says, could you not do a bat rep without it being a bat rep? Shift the focus to something else, maybe. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, mate. Basically, I'm trying to find ways to do it that is interesting for me and fun for me to do, and bring something a bit different. Bring something that you can't just get somewhere else done with like 5 people doing a better job of it. So yeah, it's about finding the right stuff. Peter saying, "Oh, they're not really my cup of tea. They look nice." Yeah, I think that's most minis, mate, isn't it? Some for some people, some not for others. James says boot of dice rolls. Tony says, "I might have missed it, but is bot war measured or hex based?" It's measured, mate. So it's played on a 3x3 mat. Peter says, he's having a chat with Krabby. Jacob saying, "Yeah, R.I.P. Guild Ball." Jeffrey Higgins says, "Thanks, Andy. Another entertaining stream after starting back to prepping for teaching. This is a nice way to unwind. Thank you, mate, and thank you for coming in." VG says, "Yeah, frankly, I want to see the dice rolls as that's where the excitement is. If you just hear about it in a turn wrap up, it's not as exciting." Yeah, and I think that's kind of thing. Like VG is saying there, without dice rolls, you might as well just be telling a story. It's the dice roll that changes the outcome sometimes. Peter saying, "What about the game on live stream? Would that work?" Potentially, mate, yeah. The problem with doing it on live stream is you need to have a lot of camera angles covered. I've done it before in the past, and it's something I might look at in the future. But you need to really know the game to be able to play it on a live stream. It's not the kind of thing where I'd do like a first play of a game on a live stream or something like that. You make too many mistakes and you spend too much time reading the rules to kind of check stuff out. But I have done it before a couple of times, and it can work. VG saying the good thing about bat reps though is someone producing something in different styles out there, so you pick and follow the ones you like the style. That's the thing, mate. I've never really given it a good try yet. I think at some point when I get through a backlog of some of this stuff and I can get the setup that I want, I think I'll definitely do it. If nothing else, just to find out. Superpunker Man said, I have a good number of games that me and the other players were having so much fun we ended up forgetting about the game mission or time. Yeah, that's kind of that one, mate. Peter says, "Andy always makes a great job painting live. I'm envious." I think it's maybe poor camera work, mate. You don't see all the mistakes. Let's have a look. James is saying, "I have faith in our glorious leader." Yeah, I will definitely do some, mate. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'll do some. Even if just to kind of test the water and see what works and see what doesn't work. So yeah, don't worry about that. We'll get there. Cool, folks. Well, I think seems I've painted those. I'm going to wash my brushes up now, and then I'm going to have a night because it is bloody roasting. So Peterson, you don't have to look up rules on live stream. You just say, "Is that how it works?" And us nerds flood the comment section. I've played things like Walking Dead on live stream as well, and that worked okay. I quite enjoyed that one. So yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it at some point. I think on another live stream. We'll see if we'll get there. Even if I think like I know like sort of like Warcry. I know Warcry inside out. So maybe a game of Warcry as the first test to see how it works might not be a bad shout. So, I'm just reading them. Lobin said, "I would like to see some battle reports, but you do you, Andy." Yeah, I will definitely do some. I just need to kind of get to that point. But that's the whole point of doing all of this terrain stuff, painting up loads of minis in the background. Because the other side of doing battle reports is you need to have a lot of stuff. You like if I have 2 factions for a game, you don't want to see the same 2 factions just constantly playing each other. If you want to see multiple games, I have to get loads of stuff painted and getting ready. So it's all just kind of working it down. VG says, "We can stream me teaching Blitzball on Tabletop Simulator." I still want to play that game with you, mate. But I tell you what, have you seen some of the videos Beasts of War have been doing where they've been getting companies to kind of do Tabletop Simulator, like to show them how to play because obviously they can't travel to the studio? I've lost all interest. There is something that gets lost massively when it's not miniatures, when it just becomes a video game. I don't mind playing it. Can't watch it for the life of me though. But right, folks, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, every single one of you. If any of you are new here and you would like to check out the Patreon, just type in BlackJack Legacy Patreon. You'll find the site. Please do check it out. That's what basically pays my wages. That's what makes this a full-time job. That's what makes it my career. And it means I can stay independent from the games companies. I'm not being paid or being sponsored to make content for companies. I'm being paid to make content for the community, by the community. So yeah, thanks very much, folks, and I will see you in Discord chat and Patreon, or I'll see you on next Monday's live stream. Thanks very much, folks. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.